Good morning, everyone. It's Saturday, which means it's time for yet another Salty Saturday morning. I am your host, Matthew Kadish, the labored producer of the Salty Nerd podcast. And today we got a big show for you. We're going to be talking about the season finale of Picard season 3 and the Mandalorian. We're also going to be talking about some new Star Trek news and Elon Musk's Twitter blue check ban and all types of fun stuff. So we got a big show for you today, but we also have a very special Salty Saturday panel that I'm excited to introduce you to, or maybe I should say reintroduce you to. First of all, we got my brother from another mother, Matt Vader 74. How you doing, buddy?
I'm here. A little bit unhappy, but whatever.
Well, you're always unhappy, though.
I am. I'm cranky.
You're a curmudgeonly old
It's appropriate
man.
you're wearing a grouchy shirt then.
How do we go from critical drinker to these guys? I'm not very happy about that.
And of course, he's here. He's queer. He's our Latinx representation, our shield against all things YouTube censorship. Brian from the Popcast. How you doing, buddy?
That's me, baby. Shielding away. I gotta shield all the saltiness. I'm like the sugar to your salt.
Indeed. And guys, we thought for the finale it would be appropriate to bring on the old school Star Trek Picard panel. And joining us today is the emotional wreck himself, Danny the Dork Knight. How you doing, Danny?
I'm doing okay. Thank you. I texted, just to give that context, I texted Kadish like an hour ago because I just finished binge watching all the episodes. And I was a blubbering mess. So yeah.
And also the original anti, who is now salty. We have Michael Crawford on the stream. Happy birthday, Michael, first of all. And I'm looking forward to hearing your very salty, bitter, angry takes about Picard season 3. So welcome back.
Oh, yes. Angry, salty, bitter. That sums me up right now very well. I am definitely... Yeah, I've got my boxing gloves ready. We're gonna have some fighting.
And of course, the man who doesn't watch any of the topics or shows that we talk about on the show, Odin from OMB Reviews, coming back to just sit there quietly in the corner. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited to be here and not talk about Trek myself, but listen to y'all beautiful people talk about it.
Yeah, every week we have people like, why is Odin on there? He doesn't even watch the show. It's like, we just like Odin. We like
he's our friend.
He doesn't even go here.
But
one of these
guys,
things is not like the other.
So to celebrate the reunion, the triumphant return of the original Star Trek Picard panel, in the description of this video, you'll find 2 links. The first link is to our original Salty Nerd podcast review of the entire season of the first season of Picard. It was in our audio only days when the podcast was first getting going. We took all of our Star Trek Picard talk and put it into a single compilation video. And there you can hear Danny's first appearance on the Salty Nerd podcast show. You can hear us talk about, because at the time, Discovery was the only Star Trek that was out there. And you can hear us being so hopeful about the start of Picard, and then slowly over the course of the season get more and more bitter.
Our souls die.
Yeah, exactly. And then the second link in the description is for the season 2. It's a playlist link where I basically pulled all the episodes that Matt, Brian, Danny, and Michael and I all did, covering the entirety of season 2. And it's kind of funny listening to those back to back because they follow the same trajectory where we start off really, really excited about the show, and then slowly our souls just die as we go further along in the season. So if you guys like our season 3 coverage, be sure to check out the seasons 1 and 2 if you just want to listen to something fun and get like a cool blast of the past, because the first episode of our season 2 coverage of Picard was actually one of the first episodes of this Salty Saturday live stream. So yeah. Vader was still running the show back then before he handed it off to me. And it was a lot of fun.
And we were so excited back then. Remember, guys? We were so hopeful.
Yes. Well, it does that every time, pretty much. All right, so guys, I want to go to the chat here and give a quick shout out to everyone who's joined us. We got Blue Tiger, Anthony Mark. Good to see you, Anthony. I'm sure you're on the beach somewhere. We got Danny's mom, Penny. We got Goron Faith. We have Jason Price, who is, I believe, Michael's sidekick. We got the AstroNerdBoy, one of our top tier Salty Saturday superstars. Good to see you. Mr. AstroNerdBoy. We got our super sticker champion, Gavin Blackburn. We have William Johnson. We have Nadia from the Inside All Day podcast. Good to see you, Nadia. 47 Yorktown, Mr. Farnsworth. Thrasher 613. We got who else do we got in here? We got Shorty Short. Yeah, we got a lot of people in here today.
Well, while he's looking, Astro, thank you for following me on Twitter. Like,
we got Joker's Voice in the chat. We got who else do we got here? Good to see you, Joker's Voice. He's doing the wrench duty today. We got Alex Moore. No Money G. We're gonna see you in Vegas in a little bit. No Money G. And E. Clay Tomlinson. Good to see you. And let's see here. Who else? We got Ken B. Smudboy. Smudboy's here. Mighty Orbots is in the chat. We got Chappie, Darth Maul, Nick Clark, the Luke Deckard Show. Good to see you, Luke. And Doomed Son of John. And that about covers it, I think. So good to see everyone in the chat. Thank you all so much for joining us today. And Danny, give me a minute. I gotta do.
Sorry.
Stuff. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So, guys, last week we had a banger of an episode. Okay. Not only did we have Critical Drinker on, but we had the ultimate super chat slapdown, and so we had to create a whole new category to celebrate what happened last week. So up here we now have our Saturday superstars, and so we want to give a special shout out to the trifecta of some of our biggest community supporters. We had Scotty Dubb, who gave us $451 in super
Holy
chat
shit
last week. Then Bob Dorsey
in one day,
in one stream.
Wow.
And then we got Bob Dorsey, who gave us $410 that same stream, and the AstroNerdBoy $325. Now, YouTube will only allow you to do up to a certain amount of super chats, and so these guys were like, I wanted to donate the full amount in one sitting, but I had to do it over the course of multiple super chats, and so we wanted to just give these guys their own category of being our superstars, because they've been so generous and they've been so supportive of the chat. And we also have our new $100 Super Club section on the screen. So if you guys want to have your name on the screen, the easiest way to do it is if you donate $100, you get added to the $100 club. But we also have our loyalists, Danny.
Sorry.
We also have our loyalists who basically are the ones who show up every week and really support us. And today, I'm happy to announce that Joker's Voice is amongst that crew, and Mexican Iron Man is also there as well. So we want to thank you guys for always showing up and always supporting us. And of course, we have some new super thankers that we want to thank as well. Backyard TARDIS and JT Gunn have been going through some older videos and giving us some super thanks on those. And we really appreciate all the support that you guys give us. But our top contributor, the guy who's donated to not only the most amount of money, but the most amount of time and interaction with our live streams is Scotty Dubb. We love you, Scotty. We hope you liked the free t-shirts and stuff like that you got sent out there. And we really appreciate all the support that pretty much everyone who super chats us gives us. We do this for the love of it. We've been doing it for years now, but you guys are really helping us reach our goal of trying to get Matt Vader and Alex being full-time on the live stream. And that would be a big thing, especially for Alex. He really hates that he misses out every Saturday. In fact, Vader, wouldn't you say Alex has some live stream envy?
Huge. It's huge.
Plus, we need to get Vader off the pole. Okay.
Yes,
we really do.
Indeed, we do. So before we get into our topics, we got a few housekeeping things that we got to take care of. And that is that we want you to check out our sponsor for this month, which is Extra Wallets. So I don't know if you guys can see. Yeah, Extra. So we got these really cool fancy wallets that the Popcast guys hooked us up with. Brian, show them yours again.
Yeah.
So if you go to shop.exter.com/the Popcast and you use the checkout code the Popcast, you can get 25% off one of these excellent wallets. The link is in the description, so if you guys want to go check those out, you can feel free to do that. But in addition to that, we are doing our wallet giveaway where one of our lucky viewers is going to win one of these high premium wallets. And we've gotten a couple of finalists already. We got Mighty Orbots, Destiny Captain, Danny's mom Penny, and our latest entrant, Gary Banjo Sandwich Worthington. And today we're going to be choosing our final finalist for the giveaway, which will happen on stream next Saturday. So if you guys want to be entered to win, just type in hashtag Salty Saturday in the chat. And at the end of the stream, we will do a random drawing to figure out who's going to be entered to win the wallet for free. And if you super chat more than $10 during the course of the live stream, you're automatically entered to win the wallet as well for the final giveaway. So we are very happy that you guys have been so supportive of us and our sponsors. We really appreciate that. And I know I've been rambling on a bit, and this always drives Vader crazy, but we got one more thing that we want to talk about, which is our new sub goal. So today, our goal is to get 5 new subscribers to our YouTube membership, and we have been releasing one YouTube members exclusive episode per week. Our last one has Vader going off on an epic anti-Grace Randolph rant. We've been getting so many comments about how funny it is. Like people have just been dying over this thing, and that's the type of stuff that we save for the members, where basically we can't really release it publicly or else we get in trouble. But if you join up, or if you want to gift someone a sub for the $5 tier, you get access to exclusive content. And if you're at the lowest tier, you also get access to cool emojis and badges and stuff like that. And we would like to, during the course of the stream, get 5 new members signing up. So if you guys can help us achieve that, we'd really appreciate it. And we also have a special giveaway where basically at the end of every month, we randomly select a club member and give them a free hat. So if you want to enter a chance to win a free hat, hey, in fact, Danny's wearing it right now. Yeah,
that's right. And this hat is, dude, this is I can't say, this is my favorite hat. This is top quality. It's even got the green.
Can I ask you a question, Kadish? Where do I find your members only videos on YouTube?
They are in a special playlist. So if you go to our homepage and just look at the playlist, there's a members only playlist on there where if you're a member, you just click on it and you can watch all the members only content that we have.
Thank you.
You gotta be
as a member. I couldn't find it.
Are you in the $4.99 tier? You got to be in the $4.99 tier.
Yeah, you got to be in the $4.99 tier, bro. You can't be a cheapskate. But I saw it. I got it.
Playlist, right?
Yeah, you can still see the playlist even if you're not a subscriber. But we also want to let everyone know that our hats and our apparel are made by mixtees.com, which is Brian and Shane from the Popcast company. So they are our merch ambassadors, and they really do high quality stuff. And last but not least, I just want to wish Michael Crawford a very happy birthday. Thank you for being here today, Michael. And we know that you just had a surgical procedure.
Yes.
And we're grateful that you were able to overcome that, because I think you had it yesterday or the day before.
It was actually on Thursday, right after Picard.
On Thursday.
Yeah.
So you watched Picard and then you had a part of your body removed, which I think was appropriate. But thank you for being here and happy birthday. We all really appreciate you being here. Danny, what did you want to say before we get going?
I just wanted to say that you already met your goal, because I gifted 5 memberships and they've already been taken. If you look at the chat,
fantastic.
So, yeah,
well, let's see if we can get 5 more. How about that? Thank you, Danny. Danny, we really appreciate that.
Upgrade. The YouTube member system is not great.
Yeah,
it's a little wonky.
All right, guys,
well, sorry.
No, go ahead, Danny.
And
I was just going to say the Patreon's not great either, because if some asshole wanted to share the links of your videos, they could, because it's just
that's why we stopped using Patreon.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Patreon's actually fixed that, so now we upload directly.
Oh,
to
they
Patreon.
have? Okay.
Yeah. And so you can't share the videos on Patreon. And also, we do stuff on Patreon that we can't get away with here on the channel. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but there's no nudity involved. But Vader's feet play a prominent role.
Well, if there's no nudity, then I don't see a point.
I know, right? But no, check out our saltynerdclub.com page and see all the cool stuff that you get over on that part of the members area.
Tell them about the Star Trek stuff, man. That's what everybody's here for. Star Trek.
Yeah, we do a lot of Star Trek commentary over there, and it's a lot of fun. All of our members really seem to like it. And speaking of Star Trek, let's get going. Before we get to the season 3 finale discussion, though, I have a little bone to pick, because on our banger episode, we had the Critical Drinker on, and I presented my argument about episode 9. We had a lot of wishy-washy kind of comebacks where people thought they owned me. So I'm going to take a minute to do a Kate
Oh,
Strikes
for
Back
God's
episode.
sakes.
Oh, here we go.
Just let it go already.
Let
My
it go.
God.
All right,
Let
so-
it
so
go.
The first thing
Jesus.
that I want to present to the panel.
I'm going
It's
to go
only
to
a
the
minute.
bathroom.
It's only a minute and 30 seconds long, but it's kind of directed towards Brian. So
Oh,
I'm
here
glad
we
Brian's
go.
here today.
All right, I'm taking a break.
So here we go.
Cameras off.
Evolve and change. It's been 30 years. The characters you're referring to, I hope that they've evolved and changed.
We're your family.
Jack, Elandra, Sydney, they're our family too. I'm really sorry, but there are protocols. Jack, Elandra, Sydney, they're our family too. Your son is dangerous. Jack, Elandra, Sydney, they're our family too. They're our family too. They're our family too.
Characters.
Did Major Grin
evolve
do
and
this,
change.
or
There
is
are protocols.
Danny,
Yeah.
shut up.
Your son is dangerous. Jack, Elandra, Sydney, they're our family too.
Characters evolve and change.
Jack, Elandra, Sydney, they're our family too.
Characters evolve and change. It's been 30 years. The characters you're referring to, I hope that they've evolved and changed. They've had some kind of a maturity. They've gone through experiences that have shaped their lives differently. Of course, they would have changed in that amount of time. This is not season 8, 6 months after the last season we saw them. This is 30 years later.
There are protocols. Your son is dangerous. Jack, Elandra, Sydney, they're our family too.
I don't
So
know what
I
the
just
fuck
thought-
just watched.
You're just laughing at yourself.
Well, I thought
What?
that
I
it
don't
was
get it.
interesting that the argument was that after 30 years, people change, and yet we have these radical changes within the exact same episode. So,
What
I-
radical
I would agree
changes?
with that. I actually mentioned that on Salty's show.
Hold up. What radical changes are you referring to?
There isn't any.
Deanna Troy, she's the only one that did it. Like everybody else, I buy your argument, Brian.
I gotta ask Matt. What
Sorry,
radical
sorry.
changes are you referring to?
So the fact that Deanna Troy throws Jack under the bus, says he's dangerous, says that we have to follow protocols in order to protect Starfleet from him, and then at the very end of the episode decides to go rogue because Jack is family too, and we need to save his life. It's a very different character
How
at
is
the
she
end of
going
that
rogue?
episode than the beginning. Well, she's going rogue with the rest of the TNG crew to save the day, essentially.
No, the wheels have already come off the bus.
Are they
It's
not following
rogue.
Starfleet protocols anymore?
What Starfleet protocols?
what's going on?
Starfleet's been taken
exactly.
over by-
What Starfleet protocols?
But before that happened, there was a Starfleet to have protocol with.
Yes, Danny. What do you want to say?
I don't
Thank you.
understand
No,
what
I'm
the
gonna-
change
I'm-
would be.
I really don't want to get in trouble. I haven't been here in a while.
Too
So
late, bro.
look, I know, right? I was late. Okay, so who did that?
Did what?
Nothing. Anyway, Deanna Troy. This is what I was saying on the show with Michael the other day. It wasn't even what Kadish was just saying. So she's a counselor. Okay, I think it was episode 9, Vox, where she's like, "You can trust me. I'll be there. I'll open the door for. I'm not gonna, leave you." And then the second she sees what's up, she races out the door. I don't even need the next episode. That was so antithetical to what Deanna Troy has been. I don't care what she's been through in the last 30 years.
Well, she's lost
don't-
two sons within the last 30 years, so you'd think she'd have some empathy there, and she does
I
have.
don't
some
even
Yeah,
know
empathy,
what
exactly.
but not at the beginning.
I don't
But,
even think
real
that
quick-
was a 30-year thing. I think that was just her realizing it was the Borg, and the
Real
Borg are
quick,
back.
I,
She
I-
freaks
I'll-
out.
I'll give everyone a chance to comment on this, but I want to do one more Kata Strikes Back segment
Oh,
for you
God.
guys. And
Do we have to watch
one's
another
geared-
video?
This one, yes, this one's geared towards you, Vader.
I
This
don't
one's geared
care.
towards you.
I don't care.
Beverly said this,
No one has seen or heard from the Borg in over a decade.
but then there was literally this.
Yeah, I have to give Kadish this one.
Yeah, guys. Yeah,
It was
Danny,
literally
hold it until
last
it's over.
season, which did not occur over a decade ago,
where the Borg reappeared and actually became a provisional member of the Federation with their own massive ship, protecting the galaxy from the transwarp butthole of doom.
We request provisional membership in the Federation so that we may remain here. A guardian at the gates.
Like, the Borg are literally right there. Come on, Terry, you even produced last season of Picard. You should know this shit.
That
Which
wasn't
begs
the
question.
Borg, man.
Those Borg are the result of one of your weird timey-wimey time loops that are disconnected.
Borg.
That are disconnected from the rest of the Borg. They're
I just want to say, when I spoke earlier, I didn't realize.
Danny,
Actually, the Borg Queen here has a different theory. She suggested that there may have been a divergence in time.
This is not another reality. This is our reality. He went back in time and changed the present. He transformed the entire galaxy.
They're the
okay,
Jaborgi, bro.
they have nothing to do with.
They're the
real
bastardized
Borg.
version of one of the greatest villains in TV history. That's
Yeah. It's like, yeah, they're out there, but they're not connected to the bad Borg.
The Borg Queen has a kind of trans-temporal awareness. It bridges into adjacent times, realities. They hear echoes of themselves, of each other.
remember Jaborgi, the new human-friendly Borg Queen and former murder doctor? She's got an entire super ship and voluntary Borg collective chilling out by the big transwarp butthole somewhere. Do you think Picard might have remembered his old friend and taken Jack there to see what Dr. Jaborgi could do for him? But no. His solution is to send him to a Vulcan insane asylum. But Jaborgi exists. She's out there. She ain't doing nothing. She's Borg. Why not use her? Or at least, why not address the option and rule it out?
The Borg Queen has a kind of trans-temporal awareness. It bridges into adjacent times, realities. They hear echoes of themselves, of each other.
And as far as we know, the bad Borgs right now that are the bad guys of this show, the real Borg have been stuck in their cloud, in their giant cube, since Janeway messed them all up, and this is her big revenge plot.
This is not another reality. This is our reality. He went back in time and changed the present.
So
yeah, they've been stuck in that transwarp conduit.
Yeah,
dude. Shaw said it in I think the 4th episode, right? He's like, forget Jaborgi and all that bullshit, right? The real Borg are still out there. Like, that was foreshadowing,
right? Yeah.
What is this? The history of the Borg. Well, the only history that matters. The ending. How it always ends for you. A lone Borg slayer, a united federation, they come for you. For your top-shelf, overreaching, Icarus-worthy arrogance. In this or any other universe, you always lose. That's why you fight so hard. You live with the death knell of your species across infinite timelines. You fear loss just like we do. You long for what we all long for. Connection. Longevity. Discovery. Only you offer it without choice. I'm saying, what if we ask for it? You and I. The galaxy is filled with lives that need saving.
Recruit from derelict ships? Flotsam of space? You'd have us collect scraps.
And offer second chances. What if we take this ship and build a better Borg? A real collective, based not on assimilation, but salvation. Think about it. A Borg collective that embraces the uniqueness of its members.
You ask us to embrace weakness.
I'm positing that what you've written off as weakness is actually strength. Cooperation. Magic. Members who would fight harder for what they chose. Who would lose no battles because they made no enemies. Who would not be discarded and replaced. Attachments could grow and deepen. Like Seven. Didn't you love her once too? And wasn't she the best of what we could be? Somebody who used her Borg half to serve the best of her humanity.
I'm really sorry, but there are protocols. Your son is dangerous.
I think you're conflating what you're calling laziness and bad writing with simply being different from how you would write it. Are you done now?
Wow.
Yes.
Are you done stroking your huge giant fucking ego?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, honestly, that's all that was. It's like, oh, I'm gonna spend all my spare time trying to make a own video, and you guys don't care, bro. Your ego is out of control.
We just talked about it. We could have talked about all those things.
I just like
look at
We could
Odin.
have talked about those things. I haven't even seen it, but we could have talked about it.
it's like
We're talking about it now.
the longer that 5-minute long video went on, the more I just didn't care. It's just, who gives a royal giant bull-sized cow piece of shit? I don't.
Just to be clear, guys, I don't care at all about seasons 1 and 2. I have no interest in them.
None.
I don't care.
None.
No,
it's
Chappie
funny.
in the chat had it right. You know. Anyway, sorry.
It's funny because if you listen to our season 1 and 2 coverage, a lot of Vader and Brian's arguments are mirrored in those early on in the seasons. So I just thought it was interesting. Michael, you've been quiet about this. What did you think of my little Cater Strikes Back segment?
Well, I've been trying to be respectful and only speak when spoken to, unlike the rest of this panel.
Wow.
You know, I'm just being honest. Hey, you know, we said we were going to be orderly and everything, so you know, everybody's supposed to shut up except for when it's their turn. Honestly, you know, the funny thing is, you guys say, "Oh, I don't give a crap about season 1 and 2. 1 and 2 suck." Everybody agrees season 1 and 2 suck. Look, I was there for the season 2 panel. We all know how season 2 went off the rails and sucked. All that being said, this season had reference after reference after reference to events of season 1 and 2. You can't just say season 1 and 2 didn't happen. You can't just pretend that like when Matthew mentions Jaborgi's out there guarding the giant space butthole, it's true. Jaborgi's out there guarding the giant space butthole, which means there's another faction of Borg out there that could have prevented all this. And by the way, from what we've seen, a faction of Borg that is much stronger than the faction of Borg that shows up and hides in Jupiter's red spot in order to try and transmit information to Starfleet. And so there's a lot of holes in the said plot, because there's just and yes, when Beverly Crusher says we haven't seen Borg in 10 years, that's a load of crap. And when you say, well, it's not the real Borg, you know what? If I see people from Japan, but they're from, you know, the northernmost region of Japan, and then I see some people from Tokyo, and I say, wow, we haven't seen Japanese people in 20 years. It's like, why? Because they're not from Tokyo? No, they're Borg. They're just not the, you know, come on. You're just being stupid if you want to pretend those weren't the Borg. And we also saw the Borg in season 1. And we also saw, and we know that the Borg have been around because the Romulans had that Borg cube. So I think that to pretend that line was, and by the way, this series, you know, over and over and over conflicts with itself. Like when I rewatched the series, I had to bust out laughing about the fact that it says, you know, 2 weeks ago, Jack Crusher encounters the Fenris Rangers trying to confiscate him. And then he tells Picard that they've been after him for months.
I never even picked up on that.
Can't both those things be true?
No, because he said that was the first encounter.
No, he didn't say first.
He did. He said the first encounter was the Fenris Rangers at that planet, and it said that was 2 weeks ago. And then he said they've been on them for months.
No, he didn't say it was the first.
All right, guys. I think I've stroked my ego enough. I want to move on to the actual review of this.
Right when it comes to that crap.
But Danny, was there anything you wanted to add before we move on?
To what I texted you about, or what these guys? Because I
didn't get your text, but was there anything just that you wanted to contribute before we move on?
Thank you. Not at this moment, but once we get to Picard, yeah.
All right. Before we do, we got a couple of super chats we want to get to. Gavin Blackburn with a $1.49 super sticker. He is our super sticker champion. Thank you, Gavin. We always appreciate it. WDW Pro for $4. Great content. Love the show, guys. Good to see you, WDW. We're trying to get him on one of our streams in the future. So hopefully he'll have time to come on and get all nerdy with Odin about entertainment business stuff. That should be fun. Ken B for $9.99. To borrow a phrase from Commissioner Gordon, Picard season 3 is not the Star Trek we deserve, but the Star Trek we need. It's a cool salve after the burn of STD. In some cases, literally the burn. You know, we got Mexican Iron Man, one of our big contributors, for $10. Thank you for the shout out. Love this show and love you all on the panel. And happy birthday to Michael C. Let's get a Mexican a wallet for the drawing. I'm feeling lucky. Woot woot. Yes. And then we got Fluffy Panda for $5. Good to see you, Fluffy. After this, eating pineapple pizza is going to be less painful.
Agreed.
LOL. Yes, Odin. Odin
going to
doesn't
like
like
it.
watching.
It's gonna like it.
Odin didn't
I don't like
my out of
pineapple.
control ego thing.
I don't like pineapple. So.
I don't like pineapple either.
All right. The AstroNerdBoy, one of our Saturday superstars, for $5. Picard season 3 is an aberration. It does not fall into the normal rules of storytelling. The fact that it retcons all over the place proves that.
What I'm not sure if that was saying it was good or bad.
I think AstroNerdBoy is in the good camp. So
I think he's more neutral.
He might be neutral, like good neutral.
Yeah.
It's like a gray Jedi. Ken B for $1.99. This is why we can't have nice things. Yes, my ego is definitely why there are no nice things. The Popcast is one of our new members. Thank you, Brian, for signing up. Appreciate that.
I signed up on my other accounts. Now you have 2 podcast members.
Oh no!
Wow.
I couldn't figure out how to change my membership, bro. So I just signed up on another podcast account.
All right, Jason Price for $5.50. If Jack is the only transmitter, how do all the new Borgies ever send their info back to the collective? Massive hole there. Interesting. And
Jason's one of our regulars, Michael.
Yes, he is Michael's sidekick on your Nerd Fight show. Thrasher613 became a YouTube member. Thank you for joining us, Thrasher. And Dennis Wright for $9.99. Conflict is interesting and hilarious. Don't let the haters get you down, Kadish. You make an awesome villain. Yes, I am a Slytherin.
Don't say that kind of stuff to him. Just don't.
Here we go. There's gonna be every week. There's gonna be videos now.
He's gonna stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning making
I'm gonna start making videos now.
10-minute long.
Here we go.
10-minute long. Oh, I'm gonna get these guys video. and it's just fuck you.
All right, guys. Speaking of fuck you, let's talk about Picard season 3, the finale. Now, Danny,
that could have been the name of the episode.
Yes, Danny, I know that you had just finished, literally before the stream started, a rewatch of the entire season. You have a lot that you want to share about this, so go ahead, lay it on us, Danny. What is your take on all of Picard season 3 and the finale?
Well, I don't want to do that, but all I wanted to do was because Kadish came on. Michael and I do a show every Wednesday and Thursday called Nerd Fights. Wednesday we do Star Wars. Thursday we do Star Trek. And Kadish came on Thursday, and I got gang raped. There was 3-on-1. It was Michael, Kadish, and Jason who hated it against me, who loved it. And I just wanted to say, I don't know if you guys remember, during that show we did, I was like, oh my God, I hope I still love it when I rewatch it. You know, oh, you guys are going to make me hate it and blah, blah, blah. I just want to say, and Vader's probably going to get mad at me. So Star Trek The Wrath of Khan is one of those movies I can watch, and even though I know how it ends, that scene with Kirk and Spock where Spock dies, I cry every time, literally to this day. But this might take the cake. I actually timed it today before I hit up Kadish. There's a good I'm just short. It's like 38 minutes and change. I'm crying for 38 minutes and change throughout the last episode of Picard. As a father, as a fan of Star Trek, like just as a human, dude, it hit me on so many different levels. The friendship between Geordi and Data, the part with Picard and Jack, where he's like, I'm not going anywhere. When Picard says goodbye to the crew, there were just so many. I can't even think of them all. I should have taken notes. So many beats that hit me. And sure, after Kadish and Michael pointed out, and I'll agree with it. I will concede to a ton of the points you guys made about shit not making sense. But it made me feel a way I haven't felt in well over 20 years. And that's all I wanted to say is like, I'm just glad you guys didn't ruin it for me. And I wish there was a way I could pour my heart out to you so you could enjoy it at least one time.
I'm going to piggyback on that.
What a powerful statement.
There's something that this show does that the rest of Kurtzman's Star Trek doesn't do. And that is it gives us old school fans something to cheer about again with our old characters. I don't care about your stupid little nitpicks. They were there to help move the story along or whatever it needed to do. I didn't care about that stuff. What we got was 10 episodes of fun, old school, next generation Star Trek with a lot of member berries. And, and yes, there were some plot contrivances and there were some nitpicks, all legit. I cannot argue with some of those things. Some of your takes are wrong, just flat wrong, because you don't know what you're talking about with some of this stuff. But at the same time, a lot of them are right. But this is a good, fun show that most of us didn't know we wanted or needed. And that's all I can really say about it. I have enjoyed the hell out of this show for the last 10 weeks. It has been so nice to be able to come to this show every Saturday morning and talk about something that I like instead of something that sucks because it was injected with a bunch of modern nonsense. This is just a love letter to Star Trek that Terry wrote and wanted to produce for Star Trek fans. And that's all there is to it. There's really nothing else to say. And I don't care if the Jaborgi fake Borg are out there guarding the giant space asshole. Don't give a shit. Don't care. It has nothing to do with the plot or of this show. So,
I just want to acknowledge Vader.
Yes, Vader is acknowledged.
Sometimes you just got to sit back and enjoy something. I can't do that with Discovery. I can barely do it with Strange New Worlds. I try though, and it was just a nice experience to have something with the characters that we love, and they told a fun story.
And you got to have that, bro. You can't like every week, every month, every year can't just be pure salt. There's got to be some kind of relief.
If it was that way every week, I don't want to do this YouTube stuff anymore because it would just be too much.
Yeah, it's nice, guys. I want to go to Salty Trekker, but then after Salty Trekker's done, I want to hear Brian's rebuttal to what he has to say. So, Mike, hit it.
So putting aside, look, I understand. Look, when you're really into it, the little nitpicks don't matter. When you're angry about it, the nitpicks become massive irritants, and that's the thing about nitpicks and continuity errors is that I really do get frustrated with people. Like, for example, I talk to people about Strange New Worlds and people that say that, oh, well, the Gorn are wrong and therefore Strange New Worlds sucks. And it's like, no, okay, I'll give you that the Gorn, they tweak the Gorn and the Gorn aren't 100% consistent with the Gorn that we've seen before. But that's not, you got to judge the show for what it is, not just because the continuity is 100% off. So I will grant you that 100%, Vader, that if you want to say that, the little nitpicky things, continuity things are, you're going to put all that aside because this is good.
Thank you for granting me that, Michael.
Yeah, no,
very much appreciated.
But here's where you are flat out wrong, Mr. Fat Santa, and that is that when you take away, forget about all the nitpicks, and so without arguing that, and I'm not going to even argue all those stupid member berry stuff, which the member berry stuff was insanely gratuitous and excessive. I mean, to a level that was laughable at points. I mean, it felt like a parody of Star Trek at points, how many member berries they threw in there. But even putting that aside, I won't even argue any of that. It was still horrifically bad. None of these characters were consistent with the characters that we saw before. The plot was upside down and twisted. The ethos of Star Trek The Next Generation was completely shat upon on this show. And let me give you an example. Number one, the Klingon ethos is to fight with honor. Worf fought one person face to face. Everybody else he stabbed in the back and was proud of it. And I mean, just beheading an unarmed Ferengi, stabbing people in the back, chopping heads off of people that can't see him. That's how he was fighting now. Never apologized for it, never said anything about how this is unfortunate, but this is the way we must fight or something. No, he just, I'm just a backstabber now instead of fighting with honor. You have Picard saying, well, we're not getting any information out of her. Let's take her out. We have Dr. Crusher is now a gun-toting vigilante with pump-action phasers wiping people out left and right, because the Federation, which was this utopia perfection, is now a dystopia where everybody is suffering and the entire world just sucks. And there's racism and bigotry everywhere, and everything is just absolute crap. And I'm not making this up. This is what freaking Jack Crusher says. All right, so this is not freaking Star Trek. And if I want to watch a gritty show about the state of humanity as it exists today, I'll watch Battlestar Galactica or The Expanse, not Star Trek. Star Trek, I watch for an optimistic view about humanity's future. And yes, Strange New Worlds more fits that. Not this. This is not Star Trek. And by the way, people that say, oh, well, things change in 20 years. This is where, and Kadish brought this up on my show last week. This is a classic example of lampshading. Just because you mention the fact, and they did mention this in the show, that it's been a long time and so people change, isn't an excuse for making every single character upside down from where they were. If we saw Star Trek the Motion Picture and Dr. McCoy was a gun-toting vigilante, and Spock was now a radical, emotional preacher, and everybody was just like these insanely different characters, everybody would be like, what is this? Wait, this isn't Star Trek, but this is what we get. This is none of these characters are the same characters, even remotely the same characters we got before. And so I felt it very difficult to enjoy. And I don't understand how you can defend a show that shits all over Star Trek The Next Generation like this show does. And I'm sorry for using that kind of language, because I don't. It's all good. Kind of language.
I like it when you swear, Michael. It's kind of sexy.
Ooh,
I want to set something up here. I want to see if I can do this. I'm a CIA handler, and I have a person out in the field is in the middle of the bad guy's inner sanctum.
Right.
Okay. So I can go in there and I can rescue this guy, but I have to go in there and I have to be stealthy. I have to go in there and I have to do everything I can to take out these people before my asset gets killed. So is Worf supposed to go in there and walk into the middle of everything and go, hey, Ferengi, I challenge you to honorable combat and the winner gets to take Raffi? It's like, no, come on. That is not how Worf is going to do that. That's not how anybody's going to do that. He went in there and killed the bad guys because his person was in a bad position.
Was in dire position.
It's like, so what if he hit him from behind? These are evil, bad people. It's like, does his Klingon honor forbid him from going in there and doing that? No, it doesn't.
Here's my rebuttal to that. What the hell is Worf doing being a CIA operative and a covert operations specialist in the first place? That's not freaking Worf.
All right, guys, real quick. You both made good points, but I want to get to Brian's take, because Brian, for the longest time, he's been very defensive of the series, and he justifiably so. He has some good takes on this stuff. So I want to hear Brian's rebuttal to what Michael shared with us.
Yeah, I gotta say, before I'm called a shill again for the 318th time in the last weekend, in case everyone forgot, just because I'm optimistic doesn't mean I haven't been hypercritical for the last 3 years. So the last 3 years, hypercritical, optimistic, respectful, however, hypercritical. I was hypercritical about this too. There are things you can nitpick, but they're so few and far between. And I believe that the nitpickers are going above and beyond to nitpick on this, because maybe they've been. I feel like, Mike, I think you're like an abused spouse, man.
Well, would you at least grant me that I'm not focusing on nitpicks here? I'm trying to be. I push that aside to try and focus on core issues rather than the nitpicks.
Right. Yes. But I still think that there's an air to your experience that is almost like an abused spouse, and you got Akiva Goldsman and Michelle Paradise were beating you up for the last like 3 or 4 years, constantly baiting you with good stuff, and then pushing you down the stairs the second you didn't bring them coffee fast enough. And then you leave them and you're like, I'm done. This crap sucks. Star Trek sucks. I'm done. Jesus, Matt, your freaking eyes are freaking me out, bro.
Same.
But you leave, and then you meet another guy who's courting you at the Starbucks, Terry Metalis. He's like, hey, Mike, how you doing? And you're like, no, I've been hurt too many times. You're all the same. That's the way, and you got to get past that, because there's parts of what you're saying that could be focused on. But there's also some things that you got to go, look, Worf in the 1980s has got to have a little bit of updates. He's got to be updated a little bit. We can't be watching the same Worf from 1985. It's been such a long time. That character has got to be a little different. We got to update this a little bit to make it cooler, to make it funner, to make it less cringe. Let's be real. I love Worf, my favorite character. However, some cringe moments back in the 80s and 90s, for sure. Some cringe moments in Star Trek in general in the 80s and 90s. Got to update those things a little bit. I don't see it completely out of the realm that Worf is working for Ro Laren. You know what I mean? I don't see it out of the realm.
I didn't say one word about Ro.
What's that?
I didn't say one word about Ro.
But
she's one of the few characters I didn't have a problem with.
So he's working for Ro Laren, right? Or working for someone, I don't know. I don't actually remember if he knew it was Ro Laren or not. But he's working for Starfleet.
Yeah, he knew.
Okay, so he's working for Ro Laren, somebody you trust in Starfleet security. They've convinced him that there's a major threat going on. I can totally see him acting in the way he did to protect Rafi. So I gotta ask, Mike, where on the doll did Terry Metalis touch you?
On the fact that there is this show is nihilistic, not optimistic. That's what they took, the humanistic optimism that was TNG. And don't get me wrong, I mean, you guys know I don't hide it. I'm a Christian. I'm not into humanism, but at the same time, I truly loved the humanist optimism of TNG. The idea that like Picard would willingly risk the lives of everybody in the Enterprise for the crystalline entity, despite the fact that that thing was a known killer. Right? Picard was there's a respect for life that we had in TNG, unlike any other series. And we take that, and now we're shooting down people on the floor. Now we're taking hostages and saying, well, we can't get any more information. Let's just execute them. Now it's just kill everybody that's a potential threat. All right. So it's no longer there's no respect for life at all in this series. None. And that is the opposite of TNG.
Is that like guys, when they were?
I want to go to Odin because I'm wondering if he regrets his decision to come on with a bunch of nerds today. Odin, what's your take on all this?
I'm being very productive right now, so I'm enjoying that, getting some packages ready. But the one thing I did want to say, because this is again, I haven't seen Picard at all, and I've said this now several weeks in a row. But when I was hearing about Worf, I was like, wait a minute, I thought I remember Worf even during DS9. There was the one episode where he and the others go undercover, right? He as an actual, the others get dressed up as like Klingons, and so like they have to go undercover in that way. And so there was some sneakiness there. There was, I believe, he even like took some people out.
That's right. I completely forgot about that.
So
Odin, let me ask you this. Is there a difference between just having a mission where you go undercover and being a CIA operative full time, which is what he is?
Is that not yet a mission?
No, this was not a mission. This was he was no longer a Starfleet officer. Now he is a CIA. He's like Section 31 now.
So
Starfleet
still going under
Starfleet. Remember, he is not a actual Starfleet officer. He is an independent contractor who basically is a gun for hire for Starfleet. He is a killer for hire.
Oh, that he's an independent contractor. No. In his words, independent contractor working for Starfleet Intelligence.
Michael, you turned all your stuff off. You're talking through a different mic.
That's because I'm making coffee right now. I'll be right back.
Okay. But anyway, because I'm pretty sure that he still does go like that. Doesn't sound like, from what I'm hearing, I have to actually see it, but from what I'm hearing, it sounds very similar.
Real quick, I just want to let everyone out there know that we're going to get to your super chats right after the segment's done. So like if you're just waiting for us to read that, we will get to them in a second. But Danny had a rebuttal that he wanted to share with us. So Danny, what's your rebuttal? You're muted, Danny. You're still muted. Okay.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, we can.
StreamYards did that. Man, I don't, ever since, anyway. For those of you who watched the show on Thursday, I apologize because I'm regurgitating stuff. Worf was an assassin at this point, okay? Like, have you ever seen an assassin go up to somebody and like, hey, I'm going to have a conversation? No, they put the knife in their back and they kill them. They do their thing. 1, 2, is Michael here?
I'm here. But Worf is not a freaking assassin.
Worf was not an assassin.
Yes, he was.
No, in this season, in this season, I kind of felt like he was. That's my headcanon, as Kadish would put it. Like he was an independent contractor for either Section 31 or Starfleet Intelligence. That's kind of fuzzy because it wasn't very.
He was working for Ro as a person who Starfleet couldn't have their tendrils into.
Right. Ro needed like someone that she can trust that wasn't a part of Starfleet.
Right.
Yeah. No, I get that. And he's also kind of a ruthless killer, and he's very effective at. I don't know. I didn't have any problem with Worf. This has been a huge point of contention for Michael, is that Worf didn't have honor, and I totally disagree. Yeah, I totally disagree. Yeah.
When did Worf show honor? Tell me, when did Worf show honor?
Dude, he was. Well, one of the funniest scenes of the season was when he was like, there is not a day that has passed since I have not thought about, like when he's talking to Troy and Riker's like,
honor, that's lust.
Inappropriate. Yeah, that wasn't lust. That was him expressing, two different points of view. That was him expressing his appreciation for everything he learned from her while he was in his time of reflection. And you like, look, as someone who's like recently,
that's not honor. What I'm talking about is like when Worf. One of the things that I loved about Worf is that he was, he basically represented a samurai type warrior. He was, he would never stab someone in the back unless there was no other choice. And in this, he fought, every single time Worf shows up in combat, he stabs people in the back, except for when he has to fight, his own friend to the death. Which was a fake fight, and the Borg at the end.
So, guys, I want to move on from this conversation. I will say that
I apologize, Kadish.
It's okay. I'm in Brian's camp in terms of like when it comes to Worf, like there's a 30-year gap where like the character obviously evolved and changed. So I don't have a problem with a lot of this characterization stuff for him. The things that always got me were like the drastic changes in characters within the same episode, and stuff like that. But right. I want to get to some of these super chats real quick. We got $10 from No Money G. Thank you all for the great praise of Picard Season 3. I loved it too. Glad that you loved it. The AstroNerdBoy for $5. I concur with Vader and Dork Knight, just like The Next Generation, DS9, etc. weren't perfect. I'll forgive it because overall they were good. Same applies to Picard Season 3. Fluffy Panda for $5. I get the criticism, but I loved Picard Season 3, mostly because with Carrie gone, we're never going to get this moment with Star Wars. Kathleen Kennedy screwed us. Just took 20 years. Okay, Carrie Fisher gone. Gotcha. And we got Popcorn Planet for $20. Well said, Dork Knight, and amen, Matt. You are seen. This made me cry like a baby as a father who watched this with his father. Character arcs that respected them. Michael is a killjoy who can't get over this isn't my Star Trek. That's Andy Signor. He's going to be out here in Vegas this coming week. Good to see you, Andy. Thanks for being in the stream. And we got AstroNerdBoy again. In the Next Generation, Worf stated that for Klingons, there was no greater honor than victory. And Fluffy Panda for $2. I can't believe I'm actually agreeing with Brian.
For those who don't regularly watch the show, Fluffy's usually roasting Brian. That's why that. Yeah.
I don't worry, there's more coming.
Welcome to the dark side, Fluffy.
Speaking of Brian, you had a few examples you wanted to share.
Yeah, I'll just give one for sake of time. In the last episode, when he chose to stay with Riker and Picard when they were trying to teleport them
He
out.
pronouns who?
Referring to Worf. The last
Worf.
person we were
Okay,
talking
sorry.
about.
Sorry.
I did like what he said for a moment. I was afraid we might survive this.
Right.
I did like that.
And swords are fun. That was a good one.
Yeah.
Swords are fun.
Worf had some good moments. Don't get me wrong, but the problem is overall he did not feel like he had a job.
But Brian, let's
let's
let Brian finish his thought.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brian.
No, all I'm saying is you asked for moments of that. That was a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Worf saying, "I'm gonna stay here and fight and die with you, my captain, my friend, and Riker." Like that was a moment, and
I will
feel
make
like
it a threesome.
and that was another moment. There was plenty of moments where he was like, "I'm gonna put my life and limb on the line for the greater good and for my friends." That's the definition of honor, right? Like. You're a Christian. What's the
Totally agreed.
Michael, you're a Christian. What's the greatest love a man can give, right?
Right.
To
No,
lay his
I
lay his life down for his
Brian.
friends.
I will concede that.
All right.
That's all I
Before we get too in the weeds, I wanted to get everyone's take on the actual season finale. So, like, we kind of gave our thoughts about season 3 as a whole, but I'm going to go around the panel this time around, and we're going to get everyone's take on the very final episode, what you thought about it. And then we're going to move on to some other topics. So, Matt Vader 74, what was your take on episode 10, The Final Generation?
My take is really not any different than my take on the whole season. It was a fun conclusion to a fun series. I can't really say a whole lot more than that. It was exciting. There was some weird stuff in it, but it didn't really take me out of it. I was like the whole. There are some things. I mean, I will admit the whole line of sight thing where they having to use the radio line of sight from Jupiter form. That was weird, right? Yeah. That was right. I think that was like the universe's largest Borg cube ever made.
Yeah, it was Independence Day too big.
It seemed like excessive, and all of a sudden the Enterprise, I felt like it shrunk down to where it could maneuver through the giant Death Star cube. I thought you're muted, Danny.
Oh,
and there was some weird stuff in there that I could see like Matt losing his mind over. And I get it. Just a second. And it just but overall that stuff did not take me out of this show. I had a great time. I love the little things like Michael was saying, like, well, they just murder everybody in this show. But at the same time, they rigged their guns to where they would transport people when they shot them instead of killing them into a holding cell. They didn't have to do that. They could have just killed their comrades that had been Borgified.
Like First Contact.
First Contact killed them all. Yeah.
And I'm also of the mind that a lot of people, maybe they don't really realize this, is I don't really feel like the people that got assimilated, they weren't fully assimilated. They could only receive instructions. They couldn't transmit. They were half Borgs.
Right.
And
There was no hardware
anywhere on them. And as soon as they cut that signal off, it went away. And that was a plot point of the show. And then at least Terry took the 30 seconds at the end of the show to tell us how they deborgified them by reversing the transporter stuff. He didn't have to do that. He could have made us all figure that out for ourselves. He answered as many questions, I think, as he could, and he answered the questions in the show of the most glaring things that we would have questions about. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
Yeah, 10 episodes. 10 episodes.
And even the
to answer
ones,
all those questions. Right.
Okay.
even the ones,
we're going to get to everyone in a minute.
Sorry.
So Vader, just finish up.
So anyway, I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I had a great time. I did not well up like a bumbling ball of tears like Danny did. But it just I had a great time, and I liked the setup at the end. I really liked the end credit scene. I don't know if we're going to talk about that separately later, but the end credit scene made the whole show for me.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that was worth it. That was worth 10 hours of my life I just watched to get that 1 minute scene. So yeah, good stuff.
Right. Brian, what's your take on episode 10, the final generation or the last generation?
Pretty much spot on with Vader. I'll add that like this was 10 episodes, and I gotta hand it to Terry, because not just for creating Star Trek that like I can actually like look forward to every week and enjoy, but this guy came off the heels of 4 seasons of Discovery and 2 of the worst seasons of Star Trek with Picard seasons 1 and 2 ever. He comes off the heels of this ridiculous, over the top SNL parody of Star Trek to do this it's really impressive to me. And he only had 10 episodes. He had 10 episodes, and out of every Star Trek show since 2000, since it returned, the lowest budget per episode. So the guy had the lowest budget, and he had to somehow hit a grand slam when there was nothing but mentally challenged quadriplegics on the bases, and the guy somehow pulls this feat off. It required creative abilities. It required writing abilities. It required political maneuvering. It required so much to get it here. Thanks, Terry. I'm pretty sure he wrecked. He definitely set his career back a little bit to do this. I know for a fact. I'm actually putting on an interview right now with him. I was in his garage. I'm just some of this is not in the interview because I can't put it all in there, but plenty of times he explained how the moves he had to make was 100% going to piss people off when they finally saw the end of this series. And he just did it anyways because he's a Trekkie, because he loves the series and he loves the fans, and I'm just going to do it. And I don't think Terry didn't gain very much from this series. He's been roasted by both sides, and he's been praised by a lot of people too, but he's been roasted by both sides, and he put himself in the crosshairs of one of the biggest production companies on the planet in order to make this happen. Dude, I got nothing but respect for the man. Like nothing but it.
Real quick, we have a super chat from Fluffy Panda for $2. Damn it, Brian! Stop making so many good points for fuck's sake. All right, Danny, what was your take on the season finale of Picard?
Well, I took some notes because a second ago, so somebody was talking about the Borg and Jupiter. I think it was Vader. On our show the other day, one of our fans looked it up. That eye that the Borg cube was in and pretty much filling up, that's 1.3 times the size of Earth. So that Borg cube, just to put it in perspective, was larger than our planet. That's never been a thing before, right? In Star Trek, like that's the biggest Borg cube, right? Can we all agree on that? That's the biggest
Borg cube ever. Yeah, that was like Independence Day 2.
It was huge. The other thing, I can't remember if it was Kadish or Brian. Over 30 years, people changing, whether it's Worf or the only argument I'll concede is Troy, because she flipped on a dime in the same episode. But I mean, I've been in Vegas. July will be 14 years, and people that met me 10 years ago, like Kadish, for example. I am a completely different person, not just physically, but like in every single way. I'm a completely different person than I was then now. And do I miss that guy? Yeah. part of me still wishes I was that guy, but my life experiences have changed me. And that's why I actually, and a lot of people gave this flack, including Michael, that's why I really liked it when they took the time where Beverly Crusher was like, a lot's happened in the last 20 years. I popped my tits off. I thought that was so funny. I really appreciated that.
That was a good scene.
Yeah. But as far as now to get to Kadish's, I'm sorry. And then the other note I took, even the questions this was to Brian, even the questions that Terry Metalis didn't answer, according to Gary from Nerdrotic, those are on the cutting room floor. Because my biggest question was, they never explained the whole like Vatic cutting her hand off and talking to somebody and who was she talking to.
You're right.
According
and
to
that
Gary,
is on the cutting room floor, and I can tell you that, but then Terry would find snipers to come hunt me down.
Well, it's all good because Gary from Nerdrotic already said that on his show the other day. So I was like, oh, I'll forgive that, you know. But as far as season 10 goes, sorry, that was all my notes. As far as season 10 goes,
episode 10.
Episode 10. Thank you. I'm just a simp. I loved every minute of it. I'm a huge, I'm 43. I'll be 44 in a few months. My mother, who's probably in the chat, raised me on the original series. Like, my first memories are she recorded the original series off of TV onto VHS tapes, and she'd load them up with 3, 4, 5, however many episodes she could fit on one. And they were constantly on play when I was a kid. And we had those and the A New Hope, or well, back then it was just Star Wars. And then it was a family event. I was 7 or 8 when Next Generation came out. So every night, I think it was like Fox Fridays, we would watch Next Generation. And it was a family thing. We all watched it together. And so it's a huge, huge part of my life. And the fact that Les Moonves hates Star Trek and killed Star Trek for about a decade, close to it, infuriates me because I think Star Trek, especially for someone like me who's, I agree, Whiskey Jack, I feel like Star Trek it's a really good moral, okay, you know how Christianity, Michael, you and I have talked about this. There's a lot of allegories in Christianity, like, you know, you can't take this literal, but it's the message and blah, blah, blah. Star Trek had a ton of that. So if you didn't have the quote unquote moral guidance of Christianity, you could look at how to be a decent human through Star Trek. And that was something I always loved. And it was something that, so anyways, to get to see episode 10, I don't know. It was like wrapping up in a warm blanket. It was like all these characters I grew up with coming back. They're 30 years older. They've been through different things. Sure, they're different, but the relationships are still the same. I mean, when Picard on the bridge is telling everybody goodbye before he goes to the Borg cube, I almost cried. I didn't cry there. Don't pick on me, but I almost did. And then later, where I did bawl like a baby was when Riker, who had a complete character arc, episode 4, he's given that speech. He doesn't believe in afterlife. He's seen all these things, and I couldn't reconcile this because of the death of my son. And then in this episode, he's talking into the ether, and he just says, "I love you, Mzadi. I'll be waiting for you on the other side with our boy," showing that he had that growth, and now he believes in it. Mm-hmm. That just, dude, I bawled. I couldn't help it. So I loved it. Like 10 out of 10. There you go. Next guy.
Right.
Sorry.
So let's talk about, let's talk to someone who didn't like it. But real quick, I just want to let everyone know that we're at 110 concurrent viewers, which is really big for us.
Nice.
Hit that thumbs up if you like it to help us out with the algorithm. We really appreciate y'all watching and being here. And Michael, tell these guys why they're all stupid simps.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say this: Scotty Dubb, Bob Dorsey, and the AstroNerdBoy. Really, what you guys did last week to support this channel was awesome. But make sure you subscribe to YouTube/The Salty Trekker, and you can do the same thing over there. That'd be really, really nice. Anyway,
do it now. He'd do it for you.
Quit trying to take our Georges, man.
Hey, I'm sorry. You know, I need the money. I need the money more than they do. Come on, they live in freaking Vegas. They're just going to gamble it all away anyway.
No, that's just me. That's not them. They're responsible. Yeah.
Shut up. No, they're not. Look at these guys. Anyway, the
Kadish doesn't even drink. Come on.
Yeah, that's
Sorry,
what he
Danny.
tells people.
Let him finish.
Kadish is swimming in alcohol. Anyway, so seriously though, now it's funny, Danny. You mentioned how you could, you could grow up and get a moral compass from Star Trek, and that's true until now, because now your moral compass would be interrogate and then execute. Now your moral compass is just kill, kill, kill. There is, the moral compass of Star Trek has shifted drastically from life is precious to life is meaningless. And that's the nihilism that I was complaining about earlier. And that's my biggest complaint about Discovery. And that is my biggest complaint here, is that Star Trek should not be nihilistic. I'm not saying there's no room for nihilism in sci-fi as a whole, but there's no room for nihilism in Star Trek. Star Trek should never be nihilistic. Star Trek is always supposed to be optimistic. That's the whole point of Star Trek, is to have an optimistic view of humanity's future. And if you don't have that, then it's simply not Star Trek. When I and to go even further to suggest that this is not Star Trek, the grand finale of this, bastardization of Star Trek: The Next Generation was to turn the Enterprise D, the one that earlier in this very season they referred to as the fat one, which is basically the best way to describe the Enterprise D, because it is the biggest, bulkiest, fattest ship that the Federation ever made, and turn it into a literal effing X-Wing and fly it into the Death Star. Okay? That is such a load of BS. I mean, when Danny's sitting there bawling about it, I'm laughing at my screen as Data is flying the thing like he's Luke effing Skywalker.
Yeah, you're right. I totally agree with you on that point.
Yeah. I thought that was the dumbest thing I'd ever seen in Star Trek, because this is not, and the dumb thing is, look, Terry Matalas was filling this show with member berries. And I get it. He was doing that for the fans. And if the story was better, I probably would have liked it a lot better. And like I said, nitpicks are nitpicks, and I'm not going to grade this thing on nitpicks. But if you really want a great member berry that would have been impactful and everything, instead of having Data fly the Enterprise D like it's an X-Wing, how about you get the old Enterprise crew and get on the captain's yacht that we've all heard about and never seen, and fly that into the Borg cube?
We saw it in Nemesis, didn't we?
That was a different ship. We've never seen the Enterprise D's captain.
You're right. Sorry. Yeah.
And so let's, but we've all heard about it, and so let's do it. Let's do something that we've all know about. We all know it existed, and let's show it off for the fans. And I understand they had limited budget and everything, but come on, you could squeeze out with the stuff you did, you could have squeezed that out, and you could have just reused a set like the shuttlecraft set that you already had. You didn't need to do anything, super fancy with it.
Real quick, Danny, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, I'll concede the whole Millennium Falcon thing, because I, as a true nerd that I am, I actually looked it up, and the Millennium Falcon is 1/9 the size of the Enterprise D. So I have to concede your argument with it whipping around. But it literally is. Nerds can look it up. It's 1/9 the size of the Enterprise D. That's all I wanted to say. Yeah.
The maneuverability of the Enterprise D all of a sudden becomes equivalent of a fighter.
It looked cool though.
So Michael,
it's like out of a video game. Sorry,
Michael, what's your overall grade on the series finale?
It's hard, a serialized show like this, it's hard to grade an individual episode. When we did my show, I actually give it an FU out of 10. FU out of 10. Because to me, this was like the big cap of we don't give a crap, but I'll say this: if I was to actually give it a numeric grade, just this episode, I would probably give it about a 4 out of 10, because there were some things, like, it's beautiful to look at, but there's some things like the Enterprise D thing, the fact that the Borg cube had to transmit literally from Jupiter to Earth, that are just so stupid that I couldn't get past it. And the Borg Queen is all by herself because she's literally eating the rest of the collective. Why is she so powerful that she can force the changelings to do anything? I don't know. But there's no explanation for any of that. And I don't care what people give excuses about what's on the cutting room floor. I want to know why the hell Vadic had to talk to her severed hand and just say, oh, well, they just left that on the cutting room floor. There's no excuse for that.
I can tell you why.
There is no excuse for that. Okay, then why?
I'll tell you why after the stream.
All right. But
right.
Regardless of the reason, and then it might be great, it might be bad, but at the same time, that should have been included in the show, because to do mystery box storytelling and then to leave all the questions unanswered leaves people that care about the mystery boxes going, what the hell?
All right.
So
Michael,
sorry. So 4 out of 10 and a big middle finger from both hands.
Wow.
So yeah, 2 out of 10. 1 middle finger from each hand. There's my score.
So Odin, you've been sitting here listening patiently, dreaming about pineapple on pizza. What is your take
Odin.
on our takes about this episode?
Well, it sounds like it's pretty contentious, but I think it ultimately, it sounds like a show in general that is unfortunate that it's attached to 2 other seasons, because I think that is what is holding most people, as what I'm seeing, right, from actually, enjoying this, where it sounds like if this was just taken in pure isolation, people would genuinely, like in general, mostly love it, right? And
this
so
should have been the first season.
Yeah,
this is a great point of view, dude. No, spot on. Yeah.
So I'm actually interested. Like, as I've said, I've only watched DS9 Star Trek. So once I eventually get through the originals, get through Next Gen, and then eventually some of the others, then I'll probably just skip right to season 3 of Picard.
Do this,
like
my friend. When you finish TNG, okay?
You can't do that.
When you finish TNG and you watch like First Contact, so finish TNG, then watch First Contact, and then do me a favor and just go straight to season 3. Ignore everything else.
No, don't listen to Brian. Here's the problem with that. Honestly, here's the problem with that. Is that season 3 makes direct references to season 1 and 2. So
and that's because it has to. That's why I liked OMB's.
It has to. And so you have to watch them to understand.
No, you don't.
You don't have to. No, they explain it enough.
And by the way, Jason,
you don't have to watch
is 100% right. That's what.
Dude, the references are so light, bro.
All right.
Oh, really? In the positronic flesh. Explain that.
Well, okay, here's the one thing
you gotta know.
The last thing I'll say
that he's a robot now. That's it.
The last thing I'll say, I've already seen like an hour's worth of flashbacks because of Kadish's videos that he made us watch. So I think I've got all the references I need.
All right, real quick, my take on episode 10 was that it was okay. It had been built up to me so long. Like everyone, the entire season kept telling me, wait for the last 2 episodes. Wait for the last 2 episodes. They're amazing. They're brilliant. And I waited. And episode 9, I really didn't like until the very end. And episode 10, I felt was just kind of okay. But for the most part, overall, I think I enjoyed the season. I just felt like the season gave me hope that Star Trek could actually improve going forward. And the final 2 episodes kind of dropped the ball on that for me. And so like now I just don't care. I'm kind of divorced from the fate of Star Trek because of it. But I wanted to ask 2 questions before we get out of here, or actually 3 questions. So the first is, did Picard do Laris dirty? Like what happened to Laris at the end of this thing?
She's just waiting at the chateau.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. The second thing is, with all the family themes this season, why wasn't Data introduced to his daughter, who we spent the entire first season of the show with?
Another solid point. Yeah.
Yeah, you would think that Data being more human now and finding out he has a daughter.
Isn't she a traveler now?
No. She that was Soon's daughter.
Yeah, I made the same mistake last week.
We don't have. It's 10 episodes. We don't have 22 episodes to flesh out his relationship.
Well, I mean, like he got one final scene with Troy. That could have been the scene dedicated to him learning about his daughter, at least.
Yeah,
and then finally,
I don't care about his daughter.
Well, you might not care about it,
Most
but there are
fans
people out
don't,
there who spent an entire season watching her almost destroy the galaxy, and so like I wanted to see, what happened there. But the big thing that I wanted to ask everyone about is the return of Q, who just said, "Oh, I'm not dead because you think so 3-dimensionally." But it was a great retcon. I loved seeing the return of John Delancey as Q, and it looks like that Jack is going to take up being his new pet project going forward. But guys, let's just open it up. What did you think of the Q retcon?
Thought it was awesome. Good for him. Can't kill a Q.
I love how Terry did it without actually. He retconned without retconning. Like he retconned without pissing off the previous season's writers and showrunners. Like he was able to do it without outwardly just being like, no, that sucked, I'm just gonna bring it back. That's clever, man. Like that's what I was talking about. Like politically, he's able to write what he needed to write and still not, disrespect the people before. That was good.
May I? I don't want to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so when Q, 100% agree with Brian. I just want to like piggyback off of that. So when Q was like, "Oh, I thought the next generation wouldn't think so literally," I took that as, "Oh, it's not really retconning." So the Q that saw Picard in season 2, which regretfully I had to watch. Thank you, Salty Nerd Podcast. And he was Q at the end of his days. But Q's a man without, like, he's timeless. He's omnipotent, right? So this Q we're seeing, he could be Q from like 1,000 years prior. It doesn't
matter, right?
It doesn't matter. And so that's how, I think it was genius of Terry. Like, that's how he gets around pissing anybody off, but still bringing Q back. And I swear to God, I really hope we get Star Trek Legacy, because he's basically set up Q. It's like it's the next generation of next generation. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, I hope it happens. Anyway,
yeah, I really need it to happen. Like, I need it to happen just so that I can like just keep doing this, what I'm doing.
Yes.
Because like I don't know if I can go another like 5 years of crappy Mandalorian and Discovery reviews.
Oh God, wait till
like my mental health is already deteriorating as it is. So,
Michael, do you have any thoughts on Q's return?
Oh, a couple. So I would say this. Now, first of all, let me say this. Is it a retcon? No, I do not think it's a retcon in the sense that it actually changes continuity, because you can argue that, yes, Q can travel through time. That's established. Contrary to what Danny was saying, Q is not omnipotent. He is not all powerful. He's clearly limited, but he can travel through time. We've seen that. And so it's entirely possible that this is just Q from before he died. So I don't have a problem from a continuity standpoint. My problem, here's where it stands with Q. If you were loving the series and you were loving, like, every time a member berry popped up, you were like getting the feels and loving what you were seeing. And then the credits roll and then you see Q, you're like, yes, oh, Q, icing on the cake, right? If you were getting angry like I was because of the character assassination, if you thought that the plot was hollow, if you thought that this season was just icing and no cake, which is kind of where I was, the member berries was the only thing trying to hold this series together. And then the credits roll and you see Q, and you're like, of course. Why not? Just throw Q on top of everything else, because there's really no point. And
you did like the bounty, though.
Let me finish, please. And quite frankly, this whole thing about people wanting a Star Trek Legacy series starring what we see as far as the crew of the Enterprise god awful, and the whatever you want to call that, having the drug addict first officer and 7 of 9 as the captain and all that. No, thank you. I'm not interested in that show at all. And so, if you get rid of Rafi, sure. But if you have Rafi as the first officer, I'm out.
I really didn't like how they rechristened the Titan into a new Enterprise. I thought that was kind of an odd.
That was a bigger problem to me than Q, by the way, was the Enterprise G. But
a bigger problem to me than any of those was what you just said, Rafi being first officer. That's the only thing that might keep me from, if they actually do Legacy.
Rafi is first officer,
and if they do Legacy, Rafi won't be in it. There's a couple characters. Well, there's a couple characters that won't be in it because they've already moved on to do other things.
Oh. Okay. And Worf, by the way, lying to get what Rafi appraised.
All right, guys. I just want to remind everyone in the chat that we're still accepting entry into the giveaway. So just type in hashtag Salty Saturday to be entered for the extra wallet giveaway. Really appreciate you guys being here. And we're also getting close to our 5 new member sub goal. So shout out to Danny the Dork Knight. We acknowledge you for doing those 5 gifted subs. We really appreciate your support. I know the other day you gave us a lot of super chats and then immediately asked for a refund. So this makes
No
up for that.
refunds.
Yes,
No
no
refunds.
refunds. All sales are final.
It was a joke because of my ball cancer
I know,
scare.
I know.
Yeah, okay. All right.
So guys, speaking of, do you remember that scene in the Avengers where someone says something and Captain America's like, "I understand that reference."
Yeah, talking about Wizard of Oz.
Yes. So now we're going to move on to the Mandalorian season 3 finale because Odin actually watched. He got caught up on this stuff, so he understands what we're going to be talking about.
Oh, hey.
I'm gonna understand it now. Yes.
Yes. Instead of just sitting there politely waiting for his turn to talk. So Odin, what did you think of the finale of Mandalorian and season 3 as a whole?
Oh, because I had to binge watch most of it just to get caught up because I felt bad every week being like, oh, I can't talk about Picard. I can't talk about. I was like, well, I can't really watch Picard without any context and background. It's just as bad as when I left it. Right, I stopped watching it because I was like, I can't watch this garbage anymore. This is just so stupid. It's so boring. I was falling asleep every single episode. And yeah, the finale didn't disappoint. However, I will say I am very thankful that they decided to put something in that was so stupid, funny, that it reminded me of a significantly better property, which is Team America World Police. So you know how there's those sequences where Grogu's running and it's like the feet? All I could think of were the puppets from Team America World Police and then all the movements. And I was like, oh my gosh, they are actually trying to make Grogu run and it looks so bad. And I'm just thinking to myself, how many millions of dollars do they have per episode? And this is the best they can do? Oh, it was so cringe. But I was very thankful for that at the very least. And then, of course, ending somewhere that's green also popped into my head with them on the, front porch. And I'm like, oh, okay, having a little bit of a, fantasy of, oh, I've adopted this child. That's awful. Anyway, Team America's great, though.
Team America is great. In fact, we did a review of that for our 4th of July episode on the Salty Nerd podcast. If you guys want to check that video out. Michael, it felt like this was like a series finale as opposed to a season finale where like we're done with Grogu and Din, and we're going to be focusing on other characters going forward. So what was your take on the finale and the season as a whole?
Well, it's funny. I'm going to probably disagree with everybody again because I actually really enjoyed this season of The Mandalorian. And I've enjoyed the Mandalorian property as a whole. And I think part of it is honestly because I've been, thanks to Jason Price in the chat, he's been convincing me to watch things like Rebels and stuff like that, which I haven't watched before. And if you watch Clone Wars and Rebels and you
so when you do homework, you like Mandalorian more. Is that what you're saying? When you do homework?
I'm saying it is a connected universe. And so if you understand some of the backs, it's just like, look, when any property like if you've never seen Star Trek The Next Generation and then you watch Picard, you're not going to know who these characters are, right?
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Okay. So just, it's not the same thing as saying homework. I'm not saying you have to go read books. I'm not saying you have to go, look up stuff on and now you want to cancel me, jerks. But if you watch things where you learn the backstory of Bo-Katan, you learn the backstory of the Darksaber and stuff, and then you see where that goes in this season, where Bo-Katan is now rebuilding Mandalore, and Din Djarin and Din Grogu are now basically going to be helping the New Republic as independents. I'm interested to see what happens with the Ahsoka series, because the Ahsoka series, especially when you look at that Ahsoka trailer, at first I was like, what the heck is all this? Then I watched Rebels and I was like, oh, I get it now. Because Ahsoka is not the Ahsoka series, it's the Rebels series, the live action Rebels series.
So what about assholes like me who's not going to do the homework? Will I like it? Will I like Ahsoka?
You'll have, you know what? When we review it on Nerd Fights, you'll tell me.
Yeah, fair enough.
But so it looks like it'll be fun, but I'm interested. I like the Mandalorian culture. I like the stuff we've uncovered about Mandalorian culture. Now, the series had its pacing issues. I'm not going to, gush over it like some people have been doing over Picard season 3. I'm not saying Mandalorian season 3 was like this perfection thing, but I enjoyed it. I didn't hate it. And I certainly thought that I don't let me say this. I'm old. I also have MS and all that. So when people put crap like that, I don't even know what that means. Like what is WA?
A waifu? Are you talking about the waifu? That's an anime term. It's like basically
I don't even know what that
concubine. It's kind of like concubine.
No,
I guess,
it's like cartoon wife, man. Waifu.
Yeah.
Wife.
Okay.
I don't know. Don't look at me like I'm an idiot. I just don't know that crap. I'm not young.
Idiot. Didn't know what a waifu was.
Doesn't know
I don't know
waifu.
what waifu is, and it's like people.
Next thing you know, he's not going to know what senpai means.
What a weeb, am I right?
Real quick, guys. Sorry to interrupt you, Michael. I wanted to apologize to Jason Price because we missed a super chat of his before we moved on. Jason Price for $5.50. A hard reboot is the only fix for Star Trek.
Yeah, I actually called that out when we.
Jason and I, Michael Jason and I agree on that. Like for everything, whether it's Strange New Worlds, the whatever, like they just need to call this shit a reboot.
So, Danny, speaking as someone who likes everything, what did you think of the Mandalorian finale and season 3?
I see what you did there because I think you already know. I fucking hated it. I hated it. What did I give, Michael? What did I give the last episode? Like a 4 or something like that? It was like too little, too late. Like we got. Oh my god! I literally while I'm watching the second episode, mind you, there was 8. While watching, I text Michael in real time, "Hey man, can we not review this anymore? Like, I just want to."
At 3:00 in the freaking morning.
Well, your time, my bad. But I'm watching it at midnight when it drops, and he's like, "No, just watch it." Blah blah blah, and I'm like, "Ugh." We got an hour of what did you guys call her, Lieutenant Biscuits? Is that right? We got an hour of that. Why? So she could be in not even 2 minutes of the penultimate episode to give the guy that's going to die in the finale some meaningless information anyway. Like fuck Mandalorian. I'm sorry. Oh, I know I can cuss on your show. Fuck Star Wars. Yeah, it's not your stream. Yeah, Star Wars is fucking dead to me, dude. Like, unless he makes me watch it, which he probably will.
Yes, I will.
I'm done with Star Wars, man. I'm just done.
A series is bad when it doesn't make Danny cry. Brian from the podcast, what was your take on the season 3 finale of The Mandalorian, and what did you think of the season as a whole?
Yeah, I'm pretty much with Danny on this one. I try to be positive about things. I really do. Like I don't just say that. Like I legitimately go, I'm going to give this a shot, regardless of its existing baggage, right? Every single time. But it's really hard when like every episode is seemingly written by a chatbot or something. It's like someone typed in ChatGPT, write me a script that has as much merch and crazy shit as possible, so that we can sell we could sell the kids that like Rebels,
a mech suit toy,
whatever. Like it's just wild. Like things just don't make sense. They're never explained. And then on top of all that, and I'll tell you this, you have canon issues, you have writing issues, but the ultimate evil you can do in a TV show, in my opinion, is be boring.
I thought you were going to say Lizzo.
Or, I'm sorry. The second worst thing you could do is be boring. The first thing is Lizzo.
Really?
Look, here's the deal. Why is Lizzo even there? I'm not going to go into there's too much detail to complain about, but the biggest problem with this series, aside from everything everyone's already mentioned, is that it's just not entertaining. So like you can be bad and still not be boring. You can have there's plenty of examples of it. This is actually boring. This is like right up there with Rings of Power. It's like bad and boring. Why are we still doing this?
I love you even more now that you said that. I never knew you felt that way.
That's my problem, man.
All right, Matt Vader 74. Unload your barrels.
Oh, you set me up like I have so much salt. I I'm honestly just really kind of ambivalent towards this show anymore. It was 8 episodes of how many toy variants can we put on the Target toy shelves coming up over the next 18 months. It's pathetic. It was a bunch of disjointed episodes that really kind of didn't have a whole lot to do with one another and the overall stuff that they set up before in some weird ways. It wasn't the Din Djarin show. He was a secondary character. This show was about Bo-Katan and for some reason Lieutenant Biscuits for 1/8 of the whole season run. It was very strange. I've gone on and I say this is, and I've said it many times, this is nothing more than an animated show with people in it. And if this was 8 of 24 episodes inserted into a Clone Wars run, it'd probably be okay. It wouldn't bother us so much. But this is Filoni doing what Filoni does, and that's really it. I mean, we got all this weird stuff that aren't connected, but he's setting up things for other shows that are going to be coming in the future. It's like, why did we have the mythosaur? I wanted to see Bo-Katan get on that mythosaur and fly it out of the up on the surface of Mandalore.
We said the same thing. Yeah.
Hold on, Dan. I was expecting that, but I think the reason they didn't is because that would have been too much like the ending of Boba Fett. I think that's why they didn't do it. At the very least, at the end, when they were baptizing the little kid again, they should have had the mythosaur raise his head up out of the water and go, "Oh, hey, dudes, I'm here," and that would have been a cool way to end it. It's just
totally. Or why didn't Bo-Katan even mention, "Hey guys, by the way, there's the mythosaur down there"? Like,
I mean, so like, here's the thing. The same kid. I think it was the same kid. Got baptized in the desert lake.
Yeah, because he was interrupted
at the front, and he got interrupted by the crocodigator, right?
Yeah.
So how cool would it have been to end the show with the same thing happen? All of a sudden, there's a big rumbling in the water, but then the mythosaur raises its head, and instead of eating the kid, it just like made its appearance and presence known. That would have been really dope. That would have been a really cool setup and payoff, right?
No,
Matt?
that's
kind of neat.
Should have eaten the kid.
idea.
That's what I would have.
Should have eaten the kid. It's like, and then the
keep it in its mouth for like 3 days.
Yeah,
right. When doubt, eat the kid.
Right, and then the Mandos could all just be like, "Hey, man, can we get some like sacred water that's not polluted with a bunch of dinosaurs?" That would be really cool.
Yeah, because then they could like give up all of the ceremonial stuff and then start taking their helmets off, be like, "Oh, the mythosaur is evil." Oh, okay. Well,
and then the Grogu stuff. Come on, Din Grogu. Sorry, that's more variants.
You guys
for the toys. We'll get there. More toy variants. Din Grogu with a special chest plate to put on his chest. Okay, whatever. Odin, like you said, the CGI tightrope walking during the fight. Yeah.
Well, how ridiculous was it? He takes on 3 Praetorian guards. And he's just
insane.
like running around on like a light.
Dude, we were calling it, what do we call it, Mike? It was basically Yoda from Attack of the Clones, but not CG.
Yeah.
It was just terrible.
Yeah. Now, for a practical effect, I gotta say, for a puppet, because remember, this was not CG. He is a puppet, and I think they did okay.
I think that was all CG.
Did you not see him running?
It was terrible.
Did you not see him running?
I know. He looked silly, but that's how he's always looked. Like we've seen him walk and run before.
No, run like this.
Yes, we have. If you look or go back and watch the show, we've seen it before, just not in combat. And so that's why it looks so funny, is because he's actually in combat here. But I actually like that final fight when Din got into the room with or I should say Din Djarin, now that they're both named Din. But when Din Djarin got into the room and the two of them fought the Praetorian guards together, I thought that was cool because one was fighting physically.
Let's let Vader finish his thought.
No, I was just going to kind of say the same thing. But when I remember the first time, I think it was the first time we ever saw Grogu use his force powers, right? It was season 1 when the rhino thing is coming out of the cave and he's going to kill Din. And all of a sudden the baby goes whoop and stops this massive creature. It his tracks, lifts it up, and it's all, there's some power there. The kid's got some skills. But now he's gone from that to, bad CGI tightrope walking on some light fixtures above the house. Why didn't he just like pick up all 3 of those guys with his force powers and throw them off the ledge?
Thank you.
I know I sound like Kadish right now with the stupid nitpicks, but if you have this
that's not a nitpick.
But if you have this massive force thing where you can like literally save the world with your thought and you moving your hand, you should use it. Right. That Grogu had the ability to literally pick up Moff Gideon and just end him with no thought or of even, but instead they went through all this nonsense to where, they had to crash a freaking capital ship into this canyon. It was insane. I've been saying the same thing. It's almost like you watch our show. I don't know.
But it's just like, the problem is that, we saw the same thing with Picard, right? There are a lot like the Jaborgi Borg and all that. When you basically set yourself up to where there are a million solutions that the fans can come up with that are better than the solution you use.
But it's just, we want this to happen, so we got to make this happen regardless of what should happen, because we've already have all this stuff set up. It's just like, I don't know, man. It's silly.
It's like I'm hearing my argument against why Jack went to the Borg. That's
shut up.
No, it's actually, that's the problem, Vader, is that you are making the same kind of argument here.
I get that. I totally get it. I do. But I don't like this show, and I like that one. So there.
And that's all right. No. I think that's totally. This is the problem. What we do is, and this is just a human nature thing. If we get emotionally connected to something, and where Terry Matalas was masterful was with all those member berries, a lot of people connected emotionally to the show. So even though the show itself, if you start analyzing it, sucked balls, you're so emotionally connected to it that you're willing to forgive every ball suck there is.
That's so
However,
ridiculous.
with the Mandalorian,
right, Brian?
The Mandalorian's not packed with all that emotional member berry stuff, and so if it has issues like that, you just say this show sucks.
So speaking of ball sucking, I want to get to a couple super chats so I can suck the balls of all the people who are supporting the show.
Wow. Yes, and remember to subscribe to Salty Trekker.
Yeah. So Whiskey Jack for £2. No one enjoyed season 3 of Mando. Even normies are like meh.
Yeah,
this is true.
Is it?
Whereas you see the opposite with Picard.
Just not everybody. I mean, come on. Never say nobody.
Hold up, Odin.
Sorry.
Fluffy
Panda for $2. Katie Cake was the only worthwhile thing in Mando season 3. So Katie Sackhoff, indeed.
Oh, Katie Sack. Okay.
Yeah. Fluffy Panda likes to give people weird nicknames. So Katie Cake is Katie Sackhoff.
Okay.
Whiskey Jack for £2. How dare you mock dollar store Iron Man, aka Grogu? So my take on Mandalorian season 3, Vader makes a good point about Filoni based stuff where basically like it's an entire season of nonsense until the final 2 episodes where he like pulls out all the stops. I felt like the final 2 episodes of this season should have been like the midpoint of the season instead of all the nonsense we got, because a lot of interesting stuff did happen. We got a lot of insight into the Empire and like the master plan, Thrawn's return, the setup for Ahsoka, all that stuff. But it was just filled with so much dumb stuff that like by the time we got to the end of the season, I didn't care. It was kind of interesting to see how Star Trek Picard had a really good season after 2 terrible seasons. And then you had The Mandalorian, which had arguably 2 good seasons and then like a terrible season. So it was kind of like they flipped. But overall, like I thought that this was definitely the weakest season, and it felt like an ending. I could nitpick the crap out of this thing, but I'm not going to because I just don't care enough to do so. But let's move on to something that I really want to talk about, which is Twitter legacy check marks have gone away and people are losing their minds. So on 420, of course, April 20th, Elon Musk decided to get rid of everyone's legacy blue check marks. And speaking as a legacy blue check mark myself, it was at the end of an era, but I happily signed on to Twitter Blue. So like I can continue to get those perks and support the platform I love.
Did you did you make a 20-minute long video extolling?
I did actually, but I'm not going to show it because I want Odin to keep coming back for future live streams. But basically, so many people lost their blue check marks. Hillary Clinton was a big one, but oddly enough, Stephen King kept his blue check mark, and he tweeted about how somehow he got subscribed to Twitter Blue even though he didn't subscribe it, and it turns out Elon Musk gifted him the sub because he was complaining about it so much.
Terry Metalis, same thing for Terry Metalis. He tweeted the same thing. I don't know if you guys saw that.
All these guys who were not going to support the paid blue check mark now look like they're supporting the paid blue check mark because everyone else lost their check mark. So Elon Musk dropped a huge epic troll on all those guys, but at the same time, by deplatforming all like the Twitterati journalists and all these other guys, making them regular plebes just like the rest of us. In fact, the White House came out and said that they may not even bother to post to Twitter anymore because they're no longer verified.
Whoa.
All right,
That'd be awful.
So Odin, what do you think of this?
I love it. I absolutely love it. My favorite response. So there is a Twitter account called SCOTUS blog, which it pegs itself as an independent news analysis of the Supreme Court, and they very clearly had moments where they've shown their own political bias before, but their checkmark got taken away, and so their response was, by Twitter, the tipping point was having to pay for verification when we feel we add a lot of value. We also feel solidarity with NPR and share concerns about Twitter's direction. You can find us on our blog and TikTok. If we join a platform, we'll send word here. It's like, wait a minute, you have a problem because your checkmark got taken away on Twitter, but you have no problem at all with a company run by the Chinese Communist Party? Oh, okay. Tell me what human rights violations are going on Twitter right now. Yeah. So it's just, it's great, though, because it's like, okay, so you're just showing once again why you're not an independent news source. But I think it's hilarious seeing these people cry about it is great. Seeing them say, follow me on Mastodon instead. It's like, oh, with all the other leftists there in the
enjoy your time,
isolation bubble?
Yeah, have a good time.
Yeah, have fun over there.
Vader, you've been a $8 blue check for a while now on the Salty Nerd account. What do you have to say about this?
I jumped on that as soon as he let us buy it because I'm a terrible. My thumbs don't work half the time, and I really wanted that edit feature, and that edit feature is worth $8 a month easily. It is the best investment I could ever possibly make. You have no idea. And how dare Elon Musk have the gall and the stones to force people to spend $8 a month so that he makes his business profitable in the long run. You know, how dare he try to make a little bit of money off of these putzes out there? And in the end, it is the best way to clear the Twitter pages of all of these idiots that nobody wants on there anyway. So see you later, assholes. I do not care if you don't want to spend $8 on Twitter. It's not a problem for me at all.
And by the way,
does it really help with the bots? Does it really help with the bots?
There's way less bots now. But that was like his number one thing, man. I'm getting rid of these bots. There's still bots, but he's never going to get rid of them all. They can't
get rid of all bots, yeah.
But it's way different. It's a way different platform than it was right before we bought it. So I like Twitter. It's fun. I have a good time over there.
Ryan, what do you think of all the blue checks getting basically slapped down to a normal pleb status?
Yeah, I love it.
I do too.
I feast on their tears and their reeing all the way to the bank. I love it. I fucking love it, dude. Let me tell you something. I was watching this YouTube channel. I've actually known these guys for a long time, and they are hyper left, right? I still like them. They're still friends of mine, even if they have bad ideas. And they were coming at this so differently. They're like, "Oh, this is such an own for Elon. No one's gonna sign up for his Twitter Blue, whatever." And they're talking about how he desperately paid for some celebrities to have some check marks so that it would look like they were playing. No, he was trolling them. That's what Elon was doing.
Absolutely.
It was obvious. It was obvious that he took his biggest critics, the ones that came at him the hardest, LeBron James and freaking Stephen King and others. The people that came at him the hardest, he let them keep their Twitter blue.
I thought it was brilliant.
And then when you clicked on it, it said they were paying for it. Are you kidding me? That's not Elon being a simp. That's Elon trolling some of the richest, most famous people on the planet.
Yeah.
That is beyond hilarious, dude. And you know what? If some celebrities gotta pay for verification, so be it. Welcome to the real world, effers. You gotta pay for things that people provide you. Not everything is free. Your celebrity status doesn't garner you what other people can't accomplish.
Brian, I am so influential that I deserve to have a free verification because my tweets bring people to the platform.
Right. I don't understand, why are these millionaires and billionaires in some cases complaining about spending $8?
Yeah.
It's because they want attention.
It's the principle. What do you mean?
Hey man, have you ever met a Jew in real life? I mean, there's a reason they have money.
Whoa,
bro! I'm Jewish. Where did that come from, dude?
What are you doing?
I'm Jewish, dude.
No, I'm sorry. That was a joke from Mike's show. I guess it was in poor taste.
I don't know why you said that. That was really terrible, bro.
Yeah, no context anti-Semitism.
No. I love.
They're wealthy, so not paying for it is the principle. It just makes them honestly not paying it just makes them look like entitled assholes. And they're like, well, the Twitter verification badge is a badge of shame.
Yeah, it's a MAGA
maybe
hat.
to your 1% minority, tiny little percentage of entitled delusional assholes, but to the rest of us, we're okay with paying for a service that we feel is worth paying for. And here's the deal: you don't gotta pay for it.
Nope,
it's free. If you don't want the features, don't get them. Like, that's it. You don't have to have it.
I also love how they grandstand and they don't leave.
Right.
They're like, they're not actually going to delete their accounts. They're not going to do anything. I mean,
right. And they're still there. Like 6 months later, they're still there. Mastodon and that other app, whatever it's called, sucks. Yeah. I try to get in there. It's very hard to deal with.
Real quick, we wanted to give a shout out to E. Clay Tomlinson for becoming the latest member of our YouTube channel. We're trying to hit 5 new members this stream. Danny the Dork Knight RA generously gifted us 5 memberships, but we're hoping to get the organic ones too. So I want to thank E. Clay Tomlinson for signing up, and super chat from the AstroNerdBoy for $5. All of SCOTUS blog, other social media accounts have no check mark, making their crybaby post more hilarious.
I want to put this one out here really quick.
They all want attention too. That's all it is.
Elon is not the great guy everyone thinks. Stop using Twitter. I have to have one word reply to this one. No. So
he's not perfect. None of us are saying he's perfect, by the way.
real quick, I want to get an old school shout out from Danny. Danny, can you super chat us real quick for old times?
Super chat.
There we go. All right, before we get to Danny's take on this, Michael, what's your take on all the blue checks crying about losing?
I think this whole thing is kind of hilarious. It shows off the leftist crybaby attitude. You know, the whole I'm going to move to Canada if this person is elected, and then they don't move to Canada. You know, I'm still waiting for freaking what's his name, George Clooney was supposed to move to Canada when George Bush was elected. You know, come on, move, leave. I'm done,
bro. Why are you still here?
Don't let the door hit you on the way out, dude.
Promised.
Yeah. You know, so all these celebrities that say, oh my God, you know, we can't, you know, what's her name that was stupid enough to say that, oh, Elon Musk is this horrible monster who's a fascist, so I'm going to trade in my Tesla and get a Volkswagen, which was
the chick from oh God, what's Alyssa Milano, right?
Yeah, which was so hilarious because then everybody had to point out that Volkswagen was founded by Hitler. That was the you know, there's a lot, you know, look, Elon Musk is not the devil and he's not a saint. He's just a businessman. And if Twitter is a platform that you find useful, use it. If it's not a platform you find useful, don't use it. It doesn't matter. I don't give a crap about who owns YouTube. I really don't care. What I care about is, does it work? Can I reach an audience? Can I do what I want to do on it? I don't care who owns it. I don't care if Al Gore freaking bought YouTube tomorrow. I would not give a crap as long as it still works. Right. I'm not going to say, oh my God, it's a leftist owns YouTube, I'm leaving, but and it's just the insanity of these people. Now, what I am interested in is that, and some of you guys, I don't know if you guys know this, but a couple of weeks ago, there were arguments in front of the United States Supreme Court about algorithms and whether or not if an algorithm makes a recommendation, that's the same thing as a company endorsing something. And this goes back to a wrongful death suit against YouTube. And depending on how that case comes out, when the Supreme Court rules on it, we could see the death of the algorithm as we know it. And that would mean the end of our suggestions from things like Twitter and YouTube and all that. And man, if that happens, if the algorithm system dies, oh yes, I am so glad to go back to the old school way of doing things when independent people could actually build an audience again. You didn't have to be a freaking corporation.
TikTok would die overnight.
Well, yeah. May I say something? As someone who one of my services I offer is manipulating algorithms. I 100% agree with you, Michael. Like, they're flawed. Like,
they're also biased. I mean,
not only are yes and no. Like, you can manipulate algorithms. Like, it's actually. We can talk about this later off air, but it's actually it's not hard to do. Like, I could teach anybody here how to make their website be #1 on Google inside of a month or two. And they change, and Google's just one example. They change their algorithms all the freaking time.
Right. But during elections, for example, the Google executives purposely tried to manipulate the algorithm to make Trump look bad.
No, that's 100% true. And certain things trend only for 4 years. Why is that?
Yeah. But if the algorithms go away, they can't do that anymore.
Well, if the algorithm's not being manipulated, which they all are, but let's just say it's not, if something sways one way or the other, to Brian's point, it's because, unfortunately, the majority of people have swayed that way, and then the algorithm just gives more data to the algorithm to feed into that. So,
hey guys, real quick. So hate to cut this conversation
yeah, that's not the point
short.
of the discussion. Sorry.
There are a couple more things that I want to get to, and so we're going to go a little bit late, but I know some people have to jump off. Odin, thank you so much for being here today. I know that you were mostly quiet for the first hour and a half of this, but we always love having you on the panel. I know that baby Odin is requiring your attention. So why don't you tell people where they can find more of you, and if you have any final thoughts about the topics we discussed already.
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me over at OME Reviews on YouTube, Odyssey, Rumble, and on Twitter, because yes, I use Twitter. And
you have a blue check mark.
And I do have a blue check mark because, in fact, I did a detox from social media for a long time, and one of the primary reasons as to why I actually went back to Twitter was because I wanted to support Elon Musk. Because I wanted to support what he was doing. Because I think that even though we can say, again, anyone is flawed, I think he does a lot more good things than he does bad things in a lot of different ways, especially in the things that I think really matter, especially when you have elections coming up and all this other things about, information about vaccines and just all this other stuff that's just so important for us to talk about. We can now talk about on that platform, and it's still a gigantic platform, right? Just because a few leftists leave doesn't mean that anyone else is, going to leave with them. But I also wanted just to say that no live stream tonight like I typically do, because I have to chaperone a prom. I'm a high school teacher, so that's one of the things I have to do.
Oh my God, you're a high school teacher?
I am. So I have to do
that. Are you that cool high school teacher that hangs out with the students after school?
No.
Far from it.
No. Because
just making sure. I mean, you're not the creepy one.
No, I'm not at all. when they find out I have a YouTube channel, I'm always I'm not going to talk about that with you, because you do you on your own time, but I'm not going to talk about it.
Subscribe to me. We're going to talk.
Yeah, that'd be a problem, big problem. But I also wanted, before I head out, to be like, oh my gosh, y'all need to never have the eye setting on ever again because it was creeping me out every single moment of this stream, and I hated it. Matthew, you especially. Every time I'd look up, I'd see you go like,
You guys told us
like,
to turn it on.
Anyway.
All right,
you guys are awesome.
We'll see you next week, hopefully.
See
Bye,
you.
y'all.
Nice meeting you, Odin.
All right, real quick, guys. We got a new member from Fluffy
Yay,
Panda. So we're getting close. We need 2 more members to hit our goal of 5. So if anybody out there is on the fence, we'd appreciate it. Now, guys, we're going to run a tiny bit long here, but this is only because we got the original Star Trek crew, and there's a Star Trek story I want to talk about, which is Star Trek Phase 2. Now, we have this story from... Oops, sorry. We have this story from Hollywood Reporter that talks about how basically Star Trek is getting a reorientation in terms of strategy, where instead of new TV series, they're going to be pivoting to mini movie events like miniseries and actual movies. And Section 31 has been transitioned from a TV show to a movie starring Oscar winner Michelle Yeoh. And this signals kind of like a shift in Paramount's thinking about how they're going to move forward with Star Trek, because they have so many Star Trek things already going on. So, Brian, I know you and Shane are like all on top of this on your podcast channel. What can you tell us about this new strategy?
New strategy is we are out of money. And we need to keep.
I know what that's like. Yeah.
We need to keep these Trekkies on the hook. So we need to do stuff that's on the cheap right now, and rebuild our coffers. That's really what's going on. Like they don't want to lose. Star Trek is, and no pun intended, paramount to Paramount. It is the foundation in which that entire network was built on, and they have other shows that will keep subscribers on. However, if you look at all the other shows, they're ending. Like the Yellowstone franchise is done pretty soon. They're gonna have Tulsa King on, but even that, like the season that was supposed to be already starting production, because of disputes right now between the creator and the studio, that might not happen. So they might not have one of the most popular things. Survivor, the reality show that cost next to nothing that they built a huge audience on, has seen a almost 70% drop off in the last 5 seasons. That is insane. That is a massive drop off. In fact, what they did was they go, oh, you know what? People aren't watching anymore because we need to get a new audience. We need younger people. So they literally shrunk the amount of days that they were going to be there and episodes that people would see to from 40 to 39 or something like that to 22. And they did this whole all-inclusive thing with we're going to make sure that we have more than 70% of this. They checked a bunch of boxes trying to increase their ESG score and get younger people to watch Survivor. It didn't work. In fact, instead of getting young people to watch Survivor, they just lost all the old people. The people that have been watching for 20 years. So then in comes Star Trek. And they do the same thing with Star Trek Discovery and Picard and whatever. And they're trying to gain this new audience instead of cater to the old audience. Now, the old audience, in the immortal words of Jason Isaacs, they're going to watch anyways. And I got to say, unfortunately, he's right. Probably right. The majority of us are going to watch anyways, even if it's bad.
No, I will.
Because we're Trekkies through and through. And when Jason Isaacs said that, it pissed off a lot of people. Why? Well, because he was mostly right about that. Mm-hmm. However, the new audience that they were trying to get via Discovery and Picard and whatever, I don't think they fully realized that new audience is loud, but they're tiny. It's a loud audience, but there's not a lot of people. And even worse, it's a loud minority of people that also don't really care about anything but themselves and aren't buying merchandise and aren't buying hard media and aren't supporting the things they like the way us older guys and gals that have been watching Star Trek for some of us 60 years go gaga over. We buy and we want to support our favorite thing. We'll buy the figurines, we'll buy the hard media, we'll buy the Blu-rays and the posters and whatever, right? Well, the new audience, the younger people, they're not even paying for their own Paramount Plus subscription. Their parents are, right? They might even be in their late 20s and they're still not paying for their own subscription. They're borrowing it. So you have a group of people that they went after wholeheartedly at the sake of older fans, and they might have gotten some of them, but now they're realizing that it's a small minority of people that are simply loud and won't spend money on their product. So
you're echoing what I was going to say about the Twitter conversation, but I didn't get a chance to. It's like all these entitled, I call them millennials, but now it's not just millennials, it's Gen Z. Like everybody wants it for free. Oh, why can't I get it for free? Yeah, it's kind of the same thing that you're saying.
Right. So they're in that bed right now, and so they have to keep the fans that will watch no matter what. They have to keep us happy. Now, here's the deal: if they stop making Star Trek content, then a lot of us will. It's called waterfall. We'll waterfall the service. We'll turn it off until we see Star Trek again, right? So they have to keep something on there to make sense for us to pay for it every month. If they don't, then we'll waterfall the service. We'll turn it off. We'll wait for news of the next Star Trek show to come out, and then we'll boot it back up and go. And so their only strategy is to keep Star Trek on the platform for the majority of the year. So it makes sense for us to keep our subscriptions. That's really what it is. How do you do that when you're out of money? Miniseries, movies, shorts, these events that they can hype up and then deliver very little content, actual content from, but keep you going from month to month, where it doesn't cost them $1 million a week to keep you on.
Well, I have a question about that.
Real quick. I wanted to highlight this comment from John Kakaza, a good friend of the show. Salty Nerd is closing in on that 10,000 subscriber milestone. If you are watching, make sure to click the subscribe button. We would really appreciate that.
Yes.
It's been a slog to get to 10,000, but we're almost there. So if anybody wants to subscribe to the channel, we'd really appreciate it. Danny, real quick, make your point. Then I want to get to Michael.
Oh, yeah. So, well, I had a question for Brian. So to your point, because you were talking about them saving money by doing a movie instead of a series, but Picard season 3 was like tons of us have talked about how little money they had. Do you think that Section 31, the movie, is going to have a bigger budget than the entire season of Picard? That was, my question. So
I'm so sorry, man. Can you repeat the last part?
I just was wondering, do you actually think that the budget for Section 31 is going to be less than the budget for Picard season 3, which was...
No, that's not possible.
Exactly. Right. So why I don't get your argument then, Well,
maybe I'm going to I might get in trouble for this, but like the budget for Picard was $1 million an episode. Like, here's the deal. That's
nothing.
That is nothing.
Yeah,
I know $1 million is a lot of money for all of us normal plebs that are poor, but you guys, $1 million for an episode of science fiction, $1 million for an episode of anything on TV is astronomically small. So that's what they had to wrap up season 3 to fulfill their contractual obligation of finishing the 3rd season, keeping the actors happy, and keeping all the people, all the creators involved that have contracts. From losing their mind. This was what we have. Terry, go make us money with this budget.
So for all you haters out there that were mad because we got the 10 forward bar so much, it's because, they were trying to save money. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, they were trying to save money literally the entire season. So the thing is, just because it got a small budget, that doesn't mean that a movie overall can actually spend less money. especially if you're reusing a lot of the stuff from Discovery that's still active. Like Discovery's ending right now, right? Well, a lot of that stuff is going to be right. They're going to be using a lot of that stuff that's already on the show, and then you have one movie versus 10 movies, because really that's what Picard is. It's 10 movies, right? Well, how long was the last episode of Picard? 65 minutes. That's a short movie, but it's a movie, right?
Yeah.
So every episode of Picard was basically a movie. So instead of 10 movies, well, you got one movie, and you got one movie with Michelle Yeoh when you already paid her for a contract before she was
Oscar winner,
an Oscar-winning actress.
Mm-hmm.
This, honestly, from a business perspective, this is a no-brainer. You have a character on a show that most people like, even if you don't like Discovery. Most people like Michelle Yeoh, right? To a degree, and she's now an Oscar winner, and you already paid her for a project that you were planning on shelving. Now you need money. There you go.
All right,
the
guys.
Cheapest way, biggest bang for your buck way to make some dough.
Guys, but before I bring Michael on for this, I just want to remind you this is your last chance to get in on the giveaway. So just type in hashtag Salty Saturday in the chat, the YouTube chat, if you guys want to be entered for it. Michael, what's your take on Paramount's new strategy for Star Trek going forward with more movies and miniseries rather than actual series?
I think it's a complete loser. I think that's going to effectively destroy the franchise. The problem is that Star Trek flourishes as a series, not as film. While I do like the first 6 Star Trek films overall, I think that Star Trek is at its finest when you can do it as a series, not as standalone adventures. The Section 31 concept, I think, is antithetical to Star Trek, which of course fits in with a lot of what we've been seeing out of Star Trek in the last couple of years. Where we're going to probably see a lot of nihilism, a lot of execution type killings and stuff like that. And people are going to cheer on Michelle Yeoh, chopping people's heads off and stuff. And look, I love Michelle Yeoh. I think she's awesome. Loved her all the way back to Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. She is great. But the thing is that's not why, that just because she can kick ass doesn't mean that's the show. Section 31 is a show that I think is interesting. I think that it's a horrible concept from beginning to end. It never should have even been a concept. I think that doing these weird individual movies, that making Star Trek into some kind of weird anthology of just random stuff, is going to effectively bury the franchise over time. You need a solid crew like Strange New Worlds. If you want something more lighthearted and fun, you have the Lower Decks and stuff like that. But you don't. Legacy. But shut up, Danny. Star Trek Legacy is crap. You can make these things into shows that will go on in perpetuity. But the thing is that you also don't want to overdo it. You don't need 17 shows going at once. Like if you just move forward with Strange New Worlds, Lower Decks, and yes, even if we do Star Trek Legacy, but those 3 shows, nothing else. Forget about the Starfleet Academy. Forget about Section 31. Forget about all the rest of those stupid projects they're talking about. We just do those 3 projects, because I know Prodigy is separate. That's for the kids. So we're just doing Strange New Worlds, Lower Decks, and Legacy. That's plenty. That could be Star Trek for the next 10, 15 years.
And it covers all your audiences.
Yeah, and honestly, if you did it well, that could be awesome. If you just focus, if you got, like with Strange New Worlds, I know that some people love it, some people hate it. With a little bit of tweaking and a little bit better writing, Strange New Worlds can be awesome Trek. I think it's already, it's like this close. And then with Legacy, okay, you get rid of Rafi, diversify the crew a little bit, make it interesting. Fine, we get the Adventures of the Enterprise G and a post Voyager Star Trek, which is something we've been begging for ever since they said Star Trek was coming back. Great. Then as far as Lower Decks, it's just the parody show that we watch for fun. Bam, we're set and match. Do that. Forget about the other crap.
Jason and I have said this plenty of times. Strange New Worlds would be fine if they would just say it's a alternate reality or reboot.
Just those 3 shows. Forget about everything else. That's my take.
All right, guys, real quick. We are at 4 subs, including Brian from the Popcast. So if we can get one more sub,
one guy sub.
We'll hit our goal today.
Better yet,
Just one
sub to my channel, Salty Trekker.
But we're going to wrap things up here. But before we do, we're going to do our drawing for the giveaway. So everyone who put in hashtag Salty Saturday in the chat, you are amongst those who are going to be chosen. So let's go ahead and do this and see who our final finalist is going to be. Fluffy Panda.
It's rigged.
Not a bit. No, there's not a more deserving winner than the Fluffy Panda.
It's rigged. I'm telling you, it's rigged.
And Fluffy Panda also was one of our new membership subscribers.
Yeah,
so,
what a coincidence.
Well, don't forget that, like, when you become a member of the Salty Nerd YouTube channel, unlike some other channel memberships, you actually get exclusive content and some bonuses and perks that we're committed to delivering to our members. So thank you all for signing up for the membership today. Didn't quite hit our goal, but you know what? That's okay, because Danny was kind enough to give us 5 memberships. So we acknowledge you, Dork Knight.
You have to quit doing that. Jesus Christ, man.
No, he's smart. He's smart. He knows I'll keep throwing money at you if he does that.
I am so tired of hearing your voice. I am so tired of hearing your voice.
$19,000. Where's my
Dude,
money?
I drop you $50 super chats at a time. I give these guys $2-3 at a time.
Okay, so
okay, fair enough. All right, I got you next week, bro.
Hold up, Danny has literally never given me a super chat, so I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna do something wrong.
Yeah.
Am I not acknowledging you enough, Danny? Damn, bro.
Just stop.
Not at all, man. Not at all. We'll talk later, Brian. You know.
All right. So a big shout out to our giveaway finalists. We got Mighty Orbots, Destiny's Captain, Danny's Mom Penny, Gary Banjo Sandwich Worthington, and now Fluffy Panda. You 5 are going to be in the final drawing for the extra wallet giveaway next Saturday. So be sure to tune in for that. And we'll be contacting you to let you know who the ultimate winner is. And also, big shout out to Scotty Dubb, Bob Dorsey, and the AstroNerdBoy, our Salty Saturday superstars, who each are going to get their own extra wallet for being such awesome members of our community. We really appreciate those guys. And it's been real fun having the OG Picard crew back for the finale. Mike and Danny. Yes, Mike and Danny, we really appreciate you being here today. Michael, where can people find more of you, and do you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, well, actually, you can find both me and Danny over at Salty Trekker here on YouTube, and on Wednesdays and Thursdays we do a little show called Nerd Fights, where the two of us and Jason Price, who's in the audience right now, tend to fight furiously over these topics and more. So since Star Trek and Star Wars are both taking a break right now, we're gonna be doing something that Danny has not seen. So we're gonna actually look at the Battlestar Galactica reboot.
Yeah, never seen it. I'm actually really looking forward to that. Yeah,
and so we're going to be watching that until Strange New Worlds comes out in June. So that should be fun. And but yeah, come over, hang out every Wednesday Wednesday and Thursday night. We're there, and drop me money, and because I need the money, and I'm greedy. I'm a greedy bastard. That Danny will tell you it's true.
Greedy. You're not a bastard, though. But
Well, technically, I'm not. My parents were married. But yeah. So, but yeah, just come on over to the Salty Trekker YouTube, and Danny, drop it in the chat for people if you're willing.
Yeah, sure, for sure. Happy to.
But yeah, and hang out with us. We love to fight. But when we fight, rule number 1: we're still friends after the fight.
Oh yeah. Yeah, helps he's Christian. Yeah.
All right, Danny, where can people find more of you, and do you have any final thoughts?
Right there at Dork Night LV on the socials, and like Michael said, every Wednesday and Thursday that way on Salty Trekker. And I just wanted to say, sometimes Kadish makes a guest appearance. He was there last week. He used to be a regular fixture, but he's a super busy guy. And what do you call it? The beleaguered producer?
Belabored producer, yeah.
Belabored producer of the Salty Nerd podcast. As far as final thoughts, man, hey, I'm just stoked you guys had me back. I hope I didn't fuck up too much, so you have me back in the future. No, this was a lot of fun. It really was. And I missed you guys, and
Maybe-
Vader. I
maybe
know
for
you.
It was.
Yeah, I know, man. I know. But anyway, but thank you.
You're the worst. You're the worst.
I want to get in a cage with you, Vader. There's one of the what do you say we're gonna.
You couldn't.
Go ahead, Brian.
You literally can't pay me enough money to come on your show. I just.
Oh, now it's gone, buddy.
The only reason you're here is because this guy insisted on it. So it's okay. Just want you to know that.
All right, Brian from the podcast. Brian from the
I want you to know
podcast.
the only reason I tolerate you is because those freaky eyes of yours.
Was I even talking to you? I wasn't talking to you. I like you, Mike.
Brian from the podcast.
Oh, that was all for me.
Where can people find more of you? And do you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, you can find me at we just dropped our latest video with Terry. Our Terry Metalis Unleashed just dropped while we were in the stream, actually, on Popcast Live. So if you go to youtube.com/Popcast Live, you can find an hour-long beautiful interview with Terry. And for the members, I'll be sharing the cutting room floor of that interview that were too spicy for
I was the OnlyFans part where you and Terry were making out.
Yeah.
Wow.
Terry was, I was rubbing
OnlyFans.
Terry's feet, and it was a whole thing. And you can also find us on youtube.com/the Popcast for our main channel. So we got our main channel and we got our live channel. And besides that, final thoughts are I'm really bummed out that Picard season 3 is over. I'm gonna be frank. It's really depressing, actually. I don't know what else to look forward to.
Wasn't it great though? As Star Trek fans, we had 10 weeks of like awesomeness where we all talked. Whether at the end of the day, whether you hated it or loved it, we had 10 solid weeks where our community could just talk. Wasn't that fun? I mean,
that
celebrate
was fun.
that. Don't get too bummed out.
It's what's a bummer is like I just don't know what's like. I guess we got some movies coming up, but like what science fiction? I'm a science fiction junkie. Like I need science fiction. I need to be able to see the future. And modern science fiction is just so dour and so just such a bummer. And
Brian,
a lot of the things that they call science fiction nowadays is really not. It's really drama that they set in the future, and they go, "Oh, it's science fiction because it's in the future." Now, F you. It's not science fiction.
No, you sound like Michael. What's that word? What? Nihilism.
Nihilism.
Yeah.
Brian, what are you doing on Raw Rant on Monday?
Oh, thanks, man. We are trying to get Terry to come on Raw Rant, but he's mad at me right now, so we'll see how that goes. We are gonna have oh my god, who are we gonna have on Raw Rant? We got good guests coming on Raw Rant. I don't remember
The Dork Knight is not on Raw Rant.
No,
Sorry,
we got some good guests coming on Raw Rant on Monday at 2:00.
You should have Terry come on my show. I'd love to talk to him.
Don't miss that. I'm blanking on who it is. God darn it!
Okay,
but it's good people.
Real quick, Mexican.
It's Matt, Chris, one of the writers of
Chris
Picard.
Monfett. Yeah,
Chris Monfett, and a couple other people.
And Mexican Iron Man for $10. Did I win a wallet yet? # Brown Lives Matter. You have not won yet, but Mike, because you super chat $10, you get entered into that drawing anyway. So hopefully you'll be a winner at the final drawing. Matt Vader 74. Any final thoughts, and what do we have going on this week?
Yes, I'm just glad this stream is over today.
Wow.
I've been dreading it for like the last 5 weeks.
I didn't even pimp my wrestling show out of respect for you, bro. But okay.
Yeah,
okay.
It's okay. I'm just happy it's over. Star Wars sucks.
Enjoy your beard while you can, buddy. I hope you sleep well.
Yeah, my beard is awesome. Sorry, man. And Star Trek is probably going to go back to sucking now. Star Wars
lightly, buddy. Sleep lightly.
Dude, no, just stop. And yeah, that's all I got. I got nothing. Everything sucks. Everything
Life
sucks.
Are we going to cover Strange New Worlds on Salty Saturday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be a segment. It'll be a segment.
Right? I don't know. All I know is this guy's going to make me cover it every Thursday. Is it Thursday?
Yeah,
Michael?
I'll be a Thursday.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So
We'll be doing Ahsoka's on Wednesdays, and
all right, guys. Well, want to give a big shout out to all of our super chatters: Gavin Blackburn, WDW Pro, Ken B, Mexican Iron Man, Fluffy Panda, the Astro Nerd Boy, our one of our Saturday superstars, Jason Price, Dennis Wright, No Money G, Popcorn Planet, and Whiskey Jack. Thank you all so much for supporting the stream.
Awesome.
We really appreciate you guys. And be sure to tune in next week, same salty time, same salty channel, when we get even more bad takes from salty nerds everywhere. Guys, thank you all so much for tuning in, and we will see you later. Stay salty, my friends.